Hello everybody, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Please let me know in the comments where you guys are tuning in from. And if you've just come over from YouTube because of the ban, because of the demonetization, then make sure you subscribe on Rumble. Don't forget to subscribe on Rumble. So we've got a a big mound of lies to go through. So we've got people tuning in from Detroit, from Canada. We've got people tuning in from Venezuela. One of you said, "Hello, my fellow Goyim." Man, you made me laugh. I'll get back to that in a second, what that means. We've got people tuning in from San Francisco, from Romania, from Canada, from Nevada, from London, from New Jersey, from Monaco, from Hungary, Brazil, Pakistan. Sam says, just subscribes to your Patreon. We need independent journalists like you. Thank you very much, Sam. We've got people tuning in from Italy, from India, from Massachusetts, from California, from Argentina, near Antarctica. Beautiful. From Sydney, Australia, from the UK, from Budapest, from Berlin, from Pakistan, New York. Claudia says she's tuning in from the basement in Al Shifa Hospital. Oh my God, man. You're not gonna believe what I'm gonna show you now with this crap. It's so funny. It's really funny. Okay, let's just begin. So look, we're gonna go through all the propaganda. Okay, all of the lies. Like, it's really cheap. It's really corny. It's really, really corny. Okay. So I'm gonna try and, you know, make this as concise as possible. It's difficult, but I'll try. So I'm going to go through all the propaganda, all the lies that have come out of, you know, from the Israeli side after they've you know, bulldozed, literally bulldozed Al Shifa Hospital. So they've struck it. They've had bulldozers come in and clear the way for the tanks to come in. They have destroyed this hospital, and there are thousands of people inside. And we were told by Biden, so by the Americans and the Israelis, that Al Shifa Hospital, which is again the largest hospital in Gaza, is a Hamas command and control center. Okay, so this is not like, oh, it's a hideout or something. No, it's a command and control center. This is like, you know, the brains of the operation. Okay, and the Israelis have now had more than 24 hours to find, you know, and provide evidence of this claim, because this is a very serious claim. I want you to remember that in addition to it being extremely, you know, disgusting and amoral for them to attack a hospital, it's a violation of international law. Hospitals are they're like temples of humanity. You know, they are protected by international law. So if you're going to go and attack a hospital, you need to have bulletproof evidence that it's not a hospital. Okay, so where is this bulletproof evidence? So this is what the Israelis came up with. Okay, and again, this is beyond pathetic. So first of all, they posted a video that says this. Okay, so they had two of their spokespersons go in the hospital. They posted a video from, this is the official Twitter account of the Israelis, of the Israeli occupation army, and they said that no cuts, no edits, just the undeniable truth. Okay, that's what they wrote. And then they show you this guy who's going into the hospital and showing the evidence of the Hamas command and control center. So they deleted this video afterwards because people discovered that there was indeed a cut. There was an edit at a certain point in the video. So just ask yourself, you know, why would the Israelis delete this if they're saying it's undeniable proof? When you want to leave that up? I would have left that up if I was so sure of myself. But this is what they discovered. Okay, take a look. This is what they discovered. Get ready, it's very impressive.
Shalom everyone, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan from the IDF here. I am in the Shifa Hospital, as you can see from the sign behind me, and as you can clearly see from the building. We are going to do a one-shot video. One shot, no editing, of all of the evidence that we have found just now in this building of the Shifa Hospital. Inside the MRI center of the Shifa Hospital. Israeli troops breached here a few hours ago, and we have cleared the area.
breached here. He acts like it's a bunker. They breached. It's a fucking hospital.
Make sure that it's safe. And a few of the most interesting things that we have found totally confirm, without any doubt, that Hamas systematically uses hospitals in their military operations in violation of international law. And what we have found, I think, is only the tip of the iceberg. Let me show you a few examples. Security cameras have been obstructed. All of the security cameras are covered, and this isn't the only one. You'll see the rest of them here. Follow me as
Wow, this is off to an excellent start. Somebody put a cover on the security camera. This is the criteria for Hamas Command and Control Center. If you put a sticker on a camera, you're part of Hamas. That's how it goes.
we go in and we will see the MRI center and see the weapons that Hamas has hidden inside. This is where patients come in order to get MRI services. We'll proceed into a more secluded
Well, hold on a second. What MRI services? I thought you said it's a Hamas Command and Control Center. Make your mind up.
area. And the lighting here is out, so we're using flashlights. We're now, as you can see, in an MRI room.
No, please tell me why the lighting is out. Please. Why is the lighting out? Answer the question. Why? Did Hamas, did someone in the basement, cut the power so you have to use flashlights? You cut the power. You, the Israelis. That's why there's no power in the bloody hospital.
As you can see, in an MRI room. I don't know when this was used the last time. But
I'm going to take a guess and say before you bombed it. Just a guess.
But it is definitely an MRI machine. And if you follow
Thank you for this astute observation. Yes?
me behind the MRI machine, I'll show you what our troops exposed just minutes ago. In military terms, this is a grab bag, grab and go of a Hamas combatant. And if you zoom in and we get some light over here, what you
Grab and go. It sounds like a fast food chain.
will be able to see is military equipment. There is an AK-47, there are cartridges, ammo, there are grenades in here, of course uniform. And all of this was hidden.
So you found one Kalashnikov. This is of course assuming the Israelis didn't put it there, which is a very generous assumption. I'm being very kind to them here. One Kalashnikov. You found one Kalashnikov. That's a Hamas Command and Control Center. Hold on. How did they do this October 7th raid then? They had one Kalashnikov? What are you trying to tell me here?
Very conveniently, secretly behind the MRI machine. On the other side,
Very conveniently, very secretly.
we found a backpack with what appears to be very important intelligence, including a laptop, and we'll show you that momentarily.
No, a laptop. Oh. Wait, it gets even better.
Let's go see the next room. So we're still in the MRI center.
Sorry, before I don't want to interrupt the nice gentleman here while he's doing his propaganda. If it's a grab and go bag, why did nobody grab it? They just they left it there? I thought the whole point of it is convenience, that you just grab it and go. You said yourself. I didn't name it.
Backpack was found in here, and it was also
no.
hidden behind the MRI machine. As you can see, the rest of the equipment here is proper hospital equipment, right? Bandages and medical gear. It seems as if there's no real shortage because there's a lot of equipment here, but we'll leave that for another discussion. Let's go see weapons and other.
You found hospital equipment in a hospital. Yes, that seems very, very suspicious to me.
Prohibited items.
Prohibited items? Oh, goodness. Goodness gracious.
As we walk through the main corridor here, our troops did a preliminary search of the area. We tried to uncover the cameras, but
Oh my god, the cameras again, guys.
the cameras have been obstructed. You can see there's black tape covering it. And when our troops opened this closet here, which is in the main part of the clinic,
wow,
this is what they found.
Really? They found them just like that.
Weapons have absolutely no business being inside a hospital.
Really? Because you have one you slung on your shoulder. What do you mean they have no business being there? You're carrying weapons. What are you, fucking blind? This he's literally in uniform with machine guns and saying machine guns have no business in a hospital. Yes, so why are you in there? And of course, we're assuming that these Kalashnikovs weren't planted by the Israelis. I mean, look at these things. They're antiques. These things are antiques. Why weren't they put in these grab and go bags that you told us about? These infamous grab and go bags. They're just left there carelessly inside of blankets. Very, very bad Hamas fighters.
This is what they found. These weapons have absolutely no business being inside a hospital. The only reason they're here is because Hamas put them here, because they use this place, like many other hospitals and ambulances and sensitive facilities inside the...
So Hamas put Kalashnikovs there, but they didn't use them against you. How does that make any sense? Did you sustain any injuries? Because they haven't mentioned any. So Hamas, they just put them in there, like they're collecting Kalashnikovs in a hospital, but they never use them. They just leave them lying there for you to find. Very generous.
Gaza Strip for their illicit military purposes. So there's Kalashnikov rifles here, even ammunition. And let's go see.
Hey, did you guys notice what's down there? There's a cinder block. You see that? It looks like what's a cinder block. Maybe that's what the Israeli ambassador brought to the UN. Oh shit! Hold on, I need to get you the photo so you remember what I'm talking about. Oh man, this guy's funny. This is the terror weapon. Look at the terror weapon. This is this fits everything the Israelis have been telling us. See that giant thing? I recognize it. It's the exact one. It's the exact same one. There it is. There's the rock.
Military purposes. So there's Kalashnikov rifles here, even ammunition. And let's go see the next part of the of what we have here. Another MRI machine. Another MRI machine where behind it we also found contraband similar to what you saw in the other areas. And let's go see the...
Why don't you show us? Go on, show us then. I thought the whole point's to give us a tour.
The last thing, which is more related to intelligence, which I think we will be able to extract quite a lot of interesting intelligence from.
Really, yes.
If you can see, follow me. Up here, on top of a spare part of the MRI department, we found another grab bag. This is...
It's empty.
It's empty because we emptied it and it's clear.
So nice of you to answer my question. It's empty because we emptied it. Yes, I can see that.
It so that we could use and see it. So this is where we...
What fucking evidence is this? This is pathetic. Can you imagine this in a court? You would be laughed out of the room.
Found it, and here are the contents of the bag. The contents of the bag are full military kit for one Hamas terrorist. Alive.
For one Hamas terrorist. How nice of you to gently place it and neatly place it on the table. This is so considerate of you.
Grenade, ammunition, fighting vest with insignia, boots, and of course
with insignia.
Uniforms, and last but not least, standard AK-47. Inside the hospital, hidden in a secluded area. Take a look at this door here. Blast-proof door, which is...
Every single thing that he's shown so far, I could have carried on my back. And this is an army invading a hospital, and we're supposed to believe that they didn't put it there. Why don't you show us the footage when you actually entered the first time, not after you choreographed the whole thing?
Part of the clinic and part of the infrastructure of the hospital. Everything else looks like a hospital, only this part doesn't. Last part. Now we will see something that our intel researchers are looking into. Hold on, before we go on, let's have a look at what we found.
Oh my god! WD-40. Dun dun dun. Look, 2 cans of WD-40. These are obviously, you know, terror weapons. I think we should all turn them in. I'm sure most of you have WD-40 at home. We should turn ourselves in as terrorists. We're so sorry.
Inside the very same cabinet that houses medical equipment, you can see all kinds of standard military medical stuff. We found another go-to bag.
Wow, another empty bag. Yes, this is very terroristic of the Hamas fighters.
This bag here. And again, we opened it up in order to make sure that it's safe to touch and show. So please don't give me any of that. You opened it up and you placed it there. This
he knows he's a bullshitter. He fucking knows it. Please don't give me any of that. You opened it, place it. Yes, I'm going to give you all of the fucking you opened it and placed it there. I'm going to give you all of it all day, every day. Because that's exactly what you did, you lying scumbag. That is exactly what you did. You know it. You know what you've done.
This bag here. And again, we opened it up in order to make sure that it's safe to touch and show. So please don't give me any of that. You opened it up and you placed it there. This is the bag that we found. And this is the stuff that was in it. Now, there's insignia, military insignia, a knife. For those of you who read Arabic, you'll be able to understand what it says here.
This is amazing. It certainly says, you know, it certainly says, you know, Qassam brigades, but it's brand new. So, you know, you told us it's a fighting vest, but it looks brand new to me.
But it's Hamas, the military wing, Kataib al-Qassam, of course a vest with equipment, and as always, an AK-47, standard gear, grab and go, which they thought would be...
Which nobody grabbed and went with. How convenient.
A good place to store inside a hospital. And the last item, which I'm sure will be very interesting to analyze.
Now we get to the laptop. Now this is very interesting because you see in this video they blurred it, okay? If we go to the end, they blurred the laptop because what happened the first time is that they showed... This is, I think, one of the reasons why they deleted the video the first time, because people realized there was a cut and they said no cuts, no edits. And also, the video did not blur the laptop. What do you see on the laptop? This is what you see. Okay, this is what you see on the laptop. You can see side by side the blurred, so the previous original version and then the version where here, give me a second. There's so much bullshit that I have 50 million tabs open because there's so much of their crap to show you. This is what it looked like before, okay? Look at that. So this is what you see in the original version where they forgot to blur the laptop. You see the face of a girl who's wearing an IDF uniform, okay? She's wearing an Israeli uniform. That's her. So someone was able to find the photo, the original photo, and then they blurred it because it looks very compromising. What the hell is a Hamas fighter doing with a photo of an Israeli woman in an Israeli uniform as their background on the laptop? How does America give you billions of dollars and you still manage to make the shittiest propaganda on earth? How is this possible? You know, I could have given you a fucking Hollywood blockbuster for that money. Anybody could have done that. You get billions of dollars from the Americans and you make this crap propaganda. They can't even be bothered to watch their own shit. How do you screw up like this? How do you screw up like this? You goddamn idiots. This isn't even considering what I just showed you, all of the weapons, like these 4 Kalashnikovs in a hospital, which makes it a Hamas command and control center. Anybody and their grandmother could have planted that. There are people in the United States whose families have more weapons than what you just showed us in this hospital, in this Hamas control center. Okay? Right now, some of you watching, you probably have more guns in your house than everything that the Israelis just showed you supposedly exists in Al Shifa Hospital? Please confirm to me in the comments. I know there's a few seconds delay. Tell me in the comments. Oh, so what are these CDs there? What are these CDs? These look like blank CDs. Usually on CDs you can tell from the back, if something's been burned onto them. I can't see that well, but it just looks weird. We're supposed to believe this is intelligence because you put CDs there. What's on the CDs? You're so convinced that you took 7 minutes to make a bloody video and then upload it and delete it and then blur the thing and re-upload it again, and you're bombing a fucking hospital. So you've engaged a military force to fight a hospital, and you can't show us bulletproof evidence that this is a Hamas control center. You can't show us what's on the CDs. You can't show us the footage of when you actually went in, because for a fact the Israelis are wearing cameras every second. They're filming every second of the battle, because not just for their own records, but for for their own command and control purposes. So the officers and the generals running the war can see what's going on. If you have that technology today, why not use it? Everybody does. So this is a fact that they have everything recorded. They could easily show us the real first time that they entered the hospital, and show us whether this stuff was planted there or not. I think, everybody in the world has a right to demand that they show us bulletproof evidence, because they're murdering people, under the guise of this being a Hamas command and control center, which in and of itself doesn't make any sense, because Hamas are the government in Gaza. The Qassam brigades are the closest thing that they have to an army. I'm not saying that it's okay for them to do that, but when you're under siege, you're literally, in the full sense of the term, you're under siege by an enemy. All bets are off. Of course, the armed forces in the country are going to be, forced to put guns everywhere. In World War II, in World War II, when the UK was afraid of German invasion, man, they had fake fucking street signs set up everywhere in England that were pointed, ready to point the wrong direction to confuse the Germans when they invaded. You had schools that were you had guns that were put in churches, in schools, everywhere, all over the country, to make sure that people could resist in case the Germans invade. So, the idea that you found a few Kalashnikovs in a hospital doesn't prove anything. Of course you're going to find fucking Kalashnikovs there. And again, I'm being very, very, very generous here to believe this is if the Israelis are even telling the truth, which they are not, because they're fucking liars. No one has a bigger track record of lying than the Israelis. The Al Shifa hospital staff do not lie. The Israelis lie. So I'm just playing devil's advocate for a second and being very, very generous. Even if what they're showing you is true, it's normal that you have guns placed all over the country when you're being fucking invaded. This is normal. This happened in Britain in World War II. Every country that is being invaded and besieged does this because it creates chaos. People don't have the time to go set up military bases when they're being bombed and shelled and starved. Okay? But again, you shouldn't believe any of this because it's laughable. A child could have made better propaganda than this. This is pathetic. They got caught with their pants down. This is an Israeli soldier, as the background, or for whatever reason on the laptop of a Hamas, so-called Hamas terrorist. Why did he comment on this? Why didn't he comment on this? If this is really the laptop of a Hamas fighter, why wouldn't you say, look, they have the photo of an Israeli soldier that they're targeting on the screen? Because it's bullshit. This doesn't belong to anyone from Hamas. The Israelis put this laptop there. That's why. Here, let me play the rest of this. I'm being a bit mean. It is bullshit propaganda, but it's still a good film because it's providing us with great comedy. So we'll give them that. It's good comedy.
Which I'm sure will be very interesting to analyze, is a laptop. We found it in the MRI room. This is how the laptop looks. I don't know who it belonged to, but now it is being analyzed by our Intel people. Tactical radio communications, which we will analyze. Lots of discs, which will be analyzed. And
those CDs look empty. I'm sorry, you're not fooling me.
Computer, which at first glance already provides a lot of incriminating evidence.
Yes, such as? We don't know. Now it gets better or worse. I mean, depending how you want to look at this. So there's another Israeli propagandist, the spokesperson, who I'll remind you, this guy that I'm about to show you, who's another one of the propagandists. He was telling people in Gaza to leave in English. And then, the Israelis were saying, like, we are warning you. I mean, I'm sure many people in Gaza speak English. People in Gaza, They have one of the highest rates of university degrees in the world. So they're very intelligent, and I'm sure they speak English, but this is an Arabic population. Why are you issuing a public warning to a population you're about to invade in a different language? Just shady stuff. But this is the least of our worries. Look at this crap that they're using to justify their genocide. What I showed you is not all. It gets worse. So look at this.
And a rope. A rope next to the legs.
I'm sorry, but that looks like a piece of rubber or a shoelace. You're telling me that they tied down a hostage with a shoelace? A child could break free from that. Well, what is this? What evidence is this?
And look above this. Look above it. It's a baby bottle. It's a baby bottle in a basement. Above a World Health.
You realize you're in a hospital and people feed their babies in hospitals, yes? Also, even if you believe the lie that this is supposedly where Hamas were holding Israeli hostages, well, Jesus Christ, they're already treating them better than you're treating Palestinians. They're feeding them, right? That's what you're showing me the baby bottle is for. You're saying that Hamas were feeding Israeli baby hostages, supposedly, with this bottle. That's already much better than what you're doing to Palestinians, that you're starving.
Health Organization sign.
What the fuck does the World Health Organization have to do with it? They're so intent on attacking the UN the whole time. And I'll get back to this. They've killed 103 UN workers as of now.
Sign. This is a suspicion for an area where hostages were being held. We're now looking at an infrastructure. You don't need to build something improvisedly in a hospital in the basement. Unless you want to hold someone in the basement, you don't want anyone to see it.
Yes, that sounds very logical, except you're showing me a toilet and a baby bottle and a shoelace in a bit. Why do I even need to sit here and explain how ridiculous this is? I'm sorry, no human being on the planet is going to accept that the presence of a toilet, a shoelace, and a baby bottle prove that there was a Hamas command and control center or hostages here. It just doesn't. This is lunacy. These are normal things that you find in hospitals.
Again, we're in the same basement, and here we see diapers.
Oh no, oh my God, babies were taking shits as well? No. This is clearly evidence of Hamas terroristic activities.
See, I don't know, maybe something.
What does this prove? What does this prove?
We see diapers.
Wow.
I want you to see this room. It's in the basement of the hospital. We can see this area is a closed area from the rest of the hospital.
Yes, you just said it's a basement. Okay.
We can see the ventilation air that was done.
Yes, you just said it's a basement. Basements have ventilation. What does this prove?
Improvisedly to this area.
No, it's improvised because you've besieged the Gaza Strip. People cannot import anything they like into Gaza because of you. You remember that they banned cement from coming into Gaza? So how are people supposed to build things efficiently when you ban everything from coming in? You pick and choose what gets to come into Gaza. Go ask yourself.
And we can see infrastructures that was built in here. Toilets, shower, a small kitchen will provide the terrorists their needs. Also conduct a hideout where terrorists take hostages and hide out. And I will show you now the evidence.
You'll show me? What do you mean you'll show me the evidence? I thought that was the evidence.
You're now entering into the room where we suspect the hostages were being held. Wow. I want you to look at this room. People are putting curtains with nothing above, just wall. No reason to put here a curtain unless you want to film hostages and deliver movies. And now we'll show you more evidence.
Yeah, guys, this is it. If you have curtains in your home with nothing behind, you're a terrorist. That's how it goes.
In this room, there is a list.
This is my favorite part. You are never going to believe what he's about to show you. You are never going to believe this.
This list, in Arabic, this list says, we are in an operation. The operation against Israel started in the 7th of October. This is a Guardian list where every terrorist writes his name and every terrorist has his own shift guarding the people that were here.
Oh my God. You're never going to believe this. I speak Arabic. Let me read what it says on the wall. Let's have a closer look, shall we? Oh, it just says al-sabt, right? And names of the week. That's it. It's the days of the week. No way. These are so people in Hamas have named themselves Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Whoa, I would have never believed this. You goddamn bullshitter. You bullshitter. There's nothing here. There is absolutely nothing here. It says on top, it says Maraket. Basically, it says the Battle of Al-Aqsa Flood. It just says the Battle of Al-Aqsa Flood, 7th of October. That's it. And then every single thing that you see, that's Sabbath. All of these, they're all the days of the week. That's it. There's nothing else there. I mean, I'm stunned. I'm trying to find. My eyes are trying to find what he's saying, and it just doesn't exist. It's not there. It's not there. This is a stupid calendar. It just has the days of the week that are marked. That's it. You know what? You're never going to believe this, but I know of somebody, of a group of people who also take shifts in hospitals. What's their name again? Doctors, nurses? Oh yeah, doctors, nurses. That's it. I guess they're all terrorists as well, right? No? Yes? Maybe? In Israel's eyes, everybody's a terrorist. You and I are terrorists. This is so funny. Again, I'm not making this up. This is what he's showing.
There is a list. This list, in Arabic, this list says we are in an operation. The operation against Israel.
No, it doesn't say we are in an operation against Israel. It just says Battle of Al-Aqsa Flood, 7th of October, 2023. It doesn't say anything else.
Started in the 7th of October. This is a...
Also, just consider this. We don't know who actually put this list there. I mean, it doesn't prove anything at all. He's just shown us a shoelace, a chair, a toilet. What am I forgetting? A curtain, diapers, used diapers. So there's baby poo, a baby bottle, and a calendar with the days of the week marked in Arabic. Wow. I mean, there are a lot of homes in Arabic countries that just might fit the description of, Israeli hostage holding centers. I mean, the thing is that I'm joking, but in the Israelis' eyes, they really think like everyone's a terrorist, and they can bullshit people in the West by showing, look, it's in Arabic. So, clearly these are terrorists. I feel like this is so dumb and choreographed that they're maybe trying to test what they can get away with, like how much bullshit they can get away with. This is what you're committing genocide for? A list on a wall that has the days of the week written in Arabic. Amazing. So Tuesday, Sabbath, Saturday. But what is here that is incriminating? There's nothing. There's nothing. And you know what's funny? In the video, they also show this, okay? They show some grenades. Again, any Israeli soldier could have brought these. They show some magazines for an AK-47. Once again, any Israeli soldier could have brought these. And then they show handcuffs in the top. Once again, any Israeli soldier could have brought these. And a box of dates. Oh no, a box of dates. I'll get back to the box of dates in a second. And they show a Holy Quran. You can find 1 million of those in Gaza. Once again, the Israelis could have also brought one with them from Palestine, from other areas of Palestine, from Jerusalem, where and walkie-talkies, which the Israelis carry on them as well. What is incriminating about this? The dates. Why are the dates and the Quran next to walkie-talkies and grenades? What do these things have to do with each other? Also, the dates are very interesting because guess what? Elijah correctly points out that these dates, the Zahidi dates, are produced in California. These dates don't come from Palestine. God, the Israelis are so bad at this. They are so bad at propaganda. It's so terrible. How do you screw up like this? How do you screw up like this? Like, I don't know. They're either so bad or they just think people are so stupid, the goyim, that we're so dumb that they can just get away with anything. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. This is just bad. It's really, really insulting. I don't know whether this is worse. Actually, this is definitely worse than the WMDs, because with the weapons of mass destruction, there was so much propaganda. But when the Americans went into Iraq, they didn't film shitty videos like this to try and, to try and pretend they were WMDs. I mean, it doesn't make it any better because they still killed 1 million people, right? But in terms of propaganda, the propaganda, there was nothing cringy like this from the Americans. I mean, I found all of it cringy beforehand, but these videos where they do tours and try to like pretend, oh yeah, this is yellow cake, they didn't happen. I remember that there was nothing like that. There was something like this though. This is Bin Laden's mountain fortress. Why am I bringing this up? Because this is some of the bullshit propaganda that they tried before they invaded Afghanistan and they invaded Iraq. And they were saying, look, Osama bin Laden, he has this massive underground facility, this bunker with like, 1 million levels. And it was complete crap. It was complete nonsense, completely made up. And it looks exactly like what the Israelis said about the hospital, about Al-Shifa Hospital that I'm showing you their lovely tours of. Okay? This is what Netanyahu posted. This is what Netanyahu posted, okay? About 2 weeks ago. So it's a computer-generated animation, supposedly showing all these tunnels and these rooms that are under Al-Shifa Hospital. Where are they? Where are the tunnels? Where are the rooms? You promised us an underground facility. Where is the underground facility that you're committing genocide in the name of? You're showing me a box of dates, a toilet, curtains, a shoelace, a fucking diaper? I don't care about the diaper. I don't care about the curtains. I want to see this underground facility that you talked about, that you used as an excuse to bomb a hospital, the largest hospital in Gaza. Where is it? It doesn't exist. And the Israelis are fucking liars. They have had more than 2 days now to come up with evidence for this. And it doesn't excuse, even if they had, which they didn't, doesn't excuse anything they've done. They don't have any evidence. And these cowards, look at them, they're taking photos in the hospital with their flag, like a victory photo, like as if they conquered a fucking fortress or some bunker or some military installation. You're in a hospital. Look, with the dates, it's the same table where you can see the dates and the Quran and the walkie-talkies, the same table. This is what they have found. Wow. I mean, this is a far cry from this. A far cry from this. Look at that. Multiple rooms, multiple levels. And once again, you should remember something. Hamas are the government in Gaza. They can do what the fuck they like. They want to put a disco underground, they can put a disco underground. They want to put a military base underground, put a military base underground. Does anybody go and complain about the Americans having underground military bases in the United States? No one opens their fucking mouth. We don't even talk about these things. Why are Palestinians not allowed to have military infrastructure? Why? Because you think they're subhuman? Fuck you. So these cowards who can't fight against men, they have to fight against wounded people, they have to fight against the elderly, against children, against the sick, who literally attack a hospital. These cowards, they would never go near Hamas. They would never go near Hamas because they are the biggest cowards on earth. No one is a bigger coward than the Israeli soldiers. They're a TikTok army. That's all they're good at doing, making TikToks. And this look at Biden, how he was lying to protect them, lying to save them.
You have a circumstance where the first war crime is being committed by Hamas by having their headquarters, their military, hidden under a hospital. And that's a fact. That's what's happened. Careful.
Let me turn that up so you can hear it again.
You have a circumstance where the first war crime is being committed by Hamas by having their headquarters, their military, hidden under a hospital. And that's a fact. That's what's happened. Careful.
Where is it? Where is this headquarters? We're not talking about a tunnel, and they couldn't even find a tunnel. You're talking about headquarters. Headquarters. Do you understand what that word means? This means it's the main artery. It's the brain center. It's everything. Where is it? You're telling me you can't find it? Rubbish. Where are the x-ray scans? Where's the sonar, the ground radar that you've done? You don't even need to go into the hospital. If you have intelligence that there is this base underground, show us the intelligence. You can't show us intelligence. You can't show us proof, and you're now in the hospital.
You have a circumstance where you know there is a fair number of Hamas terrorists. Hamas has already said publicly that they plan on attacking Israel again, like they did before, doing cutting babies' heads off to burning women and children alive.
No, Joe, you have some issues in your head. You remember you walked that back. You claimed that they were cutting babies' heads off, and then you had to walk that back because it's a lie, and you know it's a lie.
And so the idea that they're going to just stop and not do anything is not realistic.
Okay, well, that's very nice. We can have discussions about future Hamas attacks another time. Do you have any evidence about the hospital or not? No? Yeah, that's what I thought. Again, this is a scandal, and I'm calling it Calendar Gate. This is Calendar Gate. You showed me the days of the week in Arabic and say this is evidence of Hamas fighters taking shifts to guard hostages. What is this garbage? Absolute garbage. Shame on them. Shame on them. And then they keep going. They keep going. Look at this. They start filming videos outside the hospital where the Israelis... I want you to think of how insulting this is. So the Israelis have now bombed the Shifa hospital. They've cut the water, the electricity, the fuel to Al Shifa hospital. There are refugees in the hospital. There are sick people in the hospital. There are babies in the incubators. Unlike the lies that they told about Iraq, there are actual, really, babies in incubators that have no more fuel. They can't, and this is very important to keep the incubators on. They have cut all medical supplies going in. They have bulldozers outside the hospital. They have tanks outside the hospital. They have destroyed equipment inside the hospital. You saw yourself. I showed you the videos of the Israelis parading around the hospital with the doors smashed off, the MRIs, taken apart. And then on top of it, they're filming propaganda. Not just the two videos I showed you, this one too, look, where they're supposedly handing out medical supplies. The boxes that claim to be medical supplies. Look how light they are. There's nothing in the boxes. They're empty. So this person says one of the first things you learn doing props in film school is to put weights in boxes so it doesn't look like this when you move them. God, how pathetic. Also, medical equipment doesn't say medical supplies on it, because everything that goes to the hospital is medical equipment. No, this has been printed out and taped on the boxes, and it's all in English. Now, again, it's normal that you have a lot of things written in English in the world, but this is Gaza. So I know there's UN stuff coming in, but who said it's necessarily written on the box in giant letters in English, only in English? Why on every single side? And why do the boxes look so light? This is propaganda. This is a fake video. I mean, the video is real, but these are fake boxes. And the Israelis are filming this to look like, hey, we destroyed the hospital and we've killed people inside and damaged it. But look at us. We are so kind that we are giving Palestinians their own medical equipment. Oh, by the way, there's nothing in the boxes. There's something else that they've been doing also, the Israelis. They've been filming themselves and taking photographs of themselves, handing the Palestinians water. So this is their own water. Remember, this water is Palestinians' water. It's their water. But the Israelis, it's like somebody comes into your house, they trap you in the basement, and then they give you from your own water. And then they take photographs of themselves giving you your own water to show how generous they are. What's generous about that? The only reason that Palestinians need bottled water is because you cut the fucking water in the first place. You are the reason that Palestinians don't have fuel, that Palestinians don't have water, that they don't have medical supplies. And now you want to film yourself giving them empty boxes to make yourself look generous and benevolent and graceful. I mean, this is another level of insult. It's like, it's really adding insult to injury. It's like they're not only going to kill you and injure you and kill your family and make you homeless and destroy your house and destroy your infrastructure and cut off your water and food and fuel. They're going to film propaganda to degrade you as well and make themselves look good while they're killing you. You know, this is like the Americans when they start throwing candy out of tanks and they film themselves throwing candy to children whose fucking country they fucking invaded and destroyed. No one wants your fucking candy. Piss off. Even the BBC can't believe this story about an underground base.
Really what we haven't seen at this point is anything like the claims from the Israeli military that this is used as a sort of sophisticated command and control center by Hamas. We've been told previously there is a vast underground network of tunnels. There was a 3D model that the Israeli military put out to that effect. And it says its search there is ongoing. Really what we haven't...
The search is ongoing, meaning they haven't found anything. Yes. Remember, the Americans, they tried for several months. So they invaded Iraq in March 2003, and until June, they were still saying, oh, look, there might be weapons of mass destruction. They never found any, of course. Here's one of the doctors who works at the hospital. Listen to what he has to say.
I'm a medical doctor. I'm a civilian. I have been all around in Shifa Hospital for 16 years. I've been walking freely everywhere. I've taken pictures and videos. I have talked to anybody, to patients and to staff. I've even been sleeping in the Shifa Hospital, and I have never seen any signs of any military command center in Shifa. But I think, again, you have to ask the Israelis, because if they are so sure about this command center that they have been talking about for 16 years now, where is the proof? Where are the pictures? Where is the X-ray of the hospital? Because you have to remember that Israel has a very sophisticated intelligence, and they have been X-raying the ground of Gaza. They have mapped all the tunnels for the resistance. They know the phone number of every citizen. They know the addresses. They know exactly who lives where. So why is it that this brilliant Israeli intelligence system has not been able to put forward any proof? These are all the lies of war. Israel is a chronic liar. Any normal human being with a heart would not attack hospitals. Israel has a long history of attacking hospitals, ambulances, health personnel, primary healthcare clinics, and they've done that since I first was in Gaza during bombing in 2006. So in this situation where any sensible person, general, prime minister with a heart would say, we will have ceasefire, we will take care of the wounded, we will re-establish the function of the hospitals. What is Israeli doing? They are increasing the bombing, increasing the number of wounded, increasing the siege of the hospitals and the strangulation of the people. So if you are not killed during the Israeli bombing, they want to starve you, to thirst you, to bleed you, and scare you to death. So to me, this is, you know, it's not only war crimes, this is crimes against humanity. And this is crimes against the value base that we all should have. If we are Muslims or Christians or Jews or agnostics, that every human life is sacred. And we should save and protect every human life. In Gaza, lives are shred like this. And the European leaders and this President Joe Biden is completely silent, or even worse, they are supporting the Israeli atrocities. I think the Palestinian people today is the only people on earth who have to prove that they are killed. They have to prove that they are dead, because Joe Biden says that he doubts the numbers.
Did I not say these exact words to you? I said the exact same thing to you.
From the Minister of Health in Gaza. And I say to you all, stand up for Palestine, stand up for Gaza now, Kuluna Gaza. Now we need solidarity more than ever. That's much more important than what a Norwegian doctor can do. We need now to be strong and to say to the leaders and to the world that we don't accept this.
CNN, meanwhile, have been cutting out this thing with a calendar because of how ridiculous it is. They've been quietly removing it because even they know that it's rubbish. So the Huffington Post covered this. saying that controversial claims by an Israeli military spokesperson were cut without an editor's note from versions on CNN's website, YouTube channel, and some of its on-air reports. Okay, so they talk about the guarding list where every terrorist writes his name, right? So this is the same stupid list that that I showed you here, this one, right? So yeah, that basically, you know, as the subheading says, they were putting it on air the first day, and then slowly, you know, removing it bit by bit because of how ridiculous it is. They know this. You can't seriously believe these claims. They're so ridiculous. I mean, I haven't even shown you how bad the humanitarian situation is inside the hospital. I'm going to in a second, but I just wanted to kind of go through the propaganda because it's so egregious. It's so bad. It's so corny and cheap, and just, you know, it insults people's intelligence, and most of all, it insults people in Gaza. You know, like you're bombing a hospital, and it's the largest one in Gaza over this. This is your proof. It doesn't prove anything. The only thing that these videos prove are that the Israelis are the worst, most disgusting liars on the planet. That they have bombed and besieged a hospital, killing patients, killing babies, literally killing babies, because they've cut the fuel from the incubators. 3 babies, premature babies, have died in the last 2 days. So they can do propaganda videos that you know, a child could debunk. I'm sorry, but, you know, a baby bottle and a fucking shoelace don't prove anything. They just prove that Israel are disgusting liars. What a pathetic, revolting, disgusting, abhorrent excuse to commit genocide. Disgusting. They had no credibility to begin with, and now they have like minus 200 credibility. I mean, just scandalous, really scandalous. So let me show you. You know, it's stupid that this doctor needs to go and even say these things. You know, because people, you know, and he shouldn't even have to come out and say these things, right? You know, you don't hear doctors in any other hospital saying, yes, I can confirm there is no underground military base in the hospital. No one has to, you know, prove these things or say these things. It's degrading, you know. But maybe people listen more to him because he's Norwegian. I don't know. But I've been told by some I mean, you know, this is why I do what I do as well, because I feel like maybe people will listen more. You know, because my name's Richard Medhurst, and it's, you know, it's not an Arabic name, and this is what people have told me. Arabs have told me this as well, that, you know, it's important to do this because I can try and bridge the gap between what is actually happening on the ground in the Arab world and the bullshit that's being told in the West. I don't know. I hope I can. I hope this doctor, his words are actually reached. This guy's been making tons of videos. I've seen 3, 4, 5 different videos where he's repeating the same thing, and I'm going to show you another one of his now. And the sad thing is that he could end up being killed, you know, God forbid. Because the Israelis have killed 103 UN workers now. They've killed tons of doctors. And there are many foreign workers, foreign aid workers that are inside Gaza because Israel has besieged Gaza so badly. You need people coming from the outside to just, you know, try and keep it afloat. So let me show you what's going on now inside the hospital, how bad it is. So we looked at the propaganda, we looked at the lies, we debunked the lies that the Israelis presented. Now I want to show you what they have actually been doing, the toll that this has taken on the people inside Al-Shifa Hospital and all the hospitals. Because you need to understand, the situation in Gaza could not be worse. The main hospital in Al-Shifa is out of service. The Indonesian hospital is out of service. Al-Quds Hospital is out of service. Al-Rantisi Children's Hospital is out of service. Al-Ahli Hospital is out of service. Just one of these being out of service is a scandal within a scandal. The fact you have 5, the main hospitals in Gaza, destroyed, unable to operate, no fuel, no electricity, no medicine. People are not even allowed to go and get, doctors can't even leave the hospital to get medicine from the pharmacy because they are being shot at. There are bulldozers, there are tanks outside the hospital. Israel have crushed ambulances. They have attacked ambulances in the last couple of weeks that are leaving, even ones that received permission from the Israelis. They give them permission 1 second and then shoot at them the next. The situation could not be worse. You don't understand how bad this is. How did it get to this point? How did it get to this point? And these scandalous ghouls, these poor excuses for human beings who will call themselves European and Western leaders, who claim that they are the leaders of the free world. They're the leaders of the devil. They're the leaders of evil. They can't even call for a ceasefire. They have to use this bullshit language now about a humanitarian pause. What the hell is a humanitarian pause? A ceasefire is too little. These people like Netanyahu should be dragged off to the fucking ICC and prosecuted. Or is the ICC only good for prosecuting black leaders? Is that what it's good for? Look at this. Look at how bad this is. So according to the Palestinian Health Ministry, the Israelis have destroyed the MRI, the kidney and burn treatment departments in Al-Shifa Hospital. Bulldozers demolished the southern part of the medical complex and have advanced to destroy the rest. And the Zionists, the Israelis, have razed all the roads within 1 kilometer leading to the complex. And they did something similar in 2021. You remember when they were bombing Gaza in May 2021? They bombed the main road that goes to this same hospital, to Al-Shifa Hospital. Look at how bad the situation is. There. They're starting to turn patients away because the hospital is overflowing. There are 100 dead bodies, 100 people who've been martyred, who are decomposing in the courtyard of the hospital. And the Israelis are not letting the hospital authorities and the doctors to bury the dead. So they're just their flesh is decomposing outside. There are babies who need to be in incubators. So they were 39 babies.
هذا هو حال الأطفال الحدج في حضانة مستشفى الشفاء. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. فقدنا 3 وإذا استمر الحال على ما هو عليه سنفقد المزيد من هؤلاء الأطفال.
These are 39 premature babies who were born before 9 months of pregnancy, and they need to be put in incubators. So incubators basically regulate the temperature. They provide the babies with oxygen. You can adjust the light sensitivity, and so they help premature babies. They help nurse premature babies, and they need fuel and electricity to function, to turn on. The Israelis, as you know, have cut all the fuel to the entire Gaza Strip. They've cut all the electricity. So now 3 of these babies have died in the last 2 days. They were 39, now they're 36. And the doctors are saying that the rest of them are probably going to die as well because they just don't have any, they have no means to keep the incubators on. You think of how ironic this is and sad, because they made up this lie. You remember in the 90s, they had they had this lie about how the Iraqi soldiers were supposedly going into Kuwait and throwing babies out of incubators. It was a complete lie. They just used that to attack Iraq. Now you actually have this on video. It's documented. The whole world can see it, that there are actually babies in incubators being killed by Israel. No one gives a care. No one cares. No one cares. So the head of the emergency department at Al-Shifa Hospital said that many of the people that have been displaced, because you have to remember that Al-Shifa Hospital not only has hundreds of patients who cannot be treated, there are thousands of people, refugees, because their homes have been bombed, that are taking and seeking refuge inside of the hospital. The head of the emergency department at Al-Shifa Hospital is saying that many of the displaced people have been blindfolded, they've been stripped of their clothes, and taken over by the Israeli army, and taken by the Israeli army to an unknown destination. These are children that are being operated on.
دكتور هذه في فرن بادي في النك تزدين
يلا ثواني بس
بنعمل لك كولا بسرعة.
This is this is footage, what I'm about to show you, from the Indonesian hospital, which is another hospital. You can see the collapse of the healthcare system. You've got Palestinians, wounded Palestinians that are just lying on the floor. There's blood all over the place.
الوضع كارثي جدا 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 قد ما تتصور. الوضع كارثي في مستشفى الأنفلونزا. الحالات كلهم غرقاء على الأرض. كمية الإصابات اللي بتصل لمستشفى الأنفلونزا من جنوب وادي غزة لا شمال بيت حنون كمية كبيرة جدا. كمية إصابات كبيرة ملقاة على الأرض. يا الله يا رب يا الله.
So in Al Shifa Hospital, there are patients with wounds that are getting seriously infected because there's no water, there's no medicine. Some people have maggots inside of their wounds now. Doctors are having to amputate limbs. As I told you, some of the babies, 3 of them have died, and others they have symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, because there's no clean water for them to provide them with solution. And then they sent a delegation of doctors from the hospital to talk to the Israelis and ask them for supplies, and the Israelis wouldn't even talk with them, just turn them away. And then at the same time, the Israelis are taking photos, with these ridiculous empty boxes that just so happen to say medical supplies in English, right? Taped on every single side and are completely empty. And then they're also saying that they're trying to give them incubators. So again, just to get this straight, the Israelis are the reason that the incubators don't work, but they're also trying to give the Palestinians incubators. They're not giving them anything. This is a lie. This is a lie. And even if it were true, what does 1 incubator do? What are 2 incubators going to do? You've destroyed the whole goddamn hospital. You think giving 2 incubators, 5 incubators is going to make up for that? You've committed the crime. So it's already been, the damage is already done. It's too little, too late. And again, I'm being very generous and playing devil's advocate. They're not giving the Palestinians anything, 0. On the contrary, they're taking, they're killing, they're murdering, stealing and thieving. Here they're talking to someone at Al Shifa Hospital in Al Jazeera. You can hear the bombs going off in the background.
الإسرائيلي للخروج من أماكن عملهم من أماكن سكناهم إلى هذا المجمع للاحتماء به لأنهم يدركون تماما أن هذا المستشفى هو مستشفى إنساني طبي ولكن للأسف لا ندري لماذا يزج به بهذا التشويه الكبير. يعني لأنكم سمعتم هذه القصف الكبير في داخل المجمع وهذا يدلل على ما أعتقد أن بالفعل تم دخول المجمع.
I just want to point something out. You see how there are patients in the hallway that are on the beds. There's no light. There's no light in the hallway. The only reason you can see what's going on is because there's a flashlight on the camera to film. But when the camera goes away, those people are just laying there in the dark. On top of being sick, on top of being in a war zone, on top of being killed or wounded, or waiting to die, and several patients have died because doctors could not save them. There's no water, wounds are getting infected, there's no medicine. One of the doctors at Al Shifa has been killed. He's just one of many doctors. Remember, the Palestinians have lost several bright, amazing minds. So you have around 7,000 people that are besieged inside the Shifa hospital. Okay, you've got around 700 of them are injured. You have 50 dialysis patients, and you have, as I said, 39 premature babies. 3 of them died. Now it's 36. One of the dialysis patients died a few hours ago because dialysis machines, they help treat people with diabetes, right? So these also need electricity. They need to be powered on. This is a problem that many Arab countries have had where they're under sanctions. Like in Syria, there are sanctions because of, because the West think that this is, going to target the government. What they're doing is they're screwing ordinary people. So if you have a problem with your kidneys, you can't go and get dialysis because the machines don't work because of lack of fuel, or they need replacement parts and you can't buy them because of sanctions. Okay, but in any case, in Gaza now, the dialysis machines in the Shifa hospital don't work. There's no fuel. So 4 people are at risk of dying because of the machines not working. And again, this helps people with kidney problems, right? So it's very, very serious. So you've got water pipes that lead into the Shifa hospital. The Israelis blew them. Okay, just to be clear, they not only cut water to the whole strip, they specifically on purpose blew up the water pipes that go into Shifa hospital. So even if you were able to turn the water back on, there's nothing is going to come into the hospital. And again, why is this important? As I told you before, people get infected without clean water. They develop fevers, they get diarrhea, their wounds become worse, and so on, right? So there's no food in the hospital. You've got tons and tons of children that are diagnosed with acute malnutrition. There are tanks and bulldozers outside. I mean, it's just scandalous. I could go on and on. It's just so bad. You can see this is in another hospital, in Al-Quds hospital. You can see how they're trying to distract the children from the war. Yeah, one of you in the comments is saying that one of you is saying that I'm on dialysis and I can go 3 days without treatment. I can't go 3 days without treatment, let alone a whole month. That is a death sentence. Yeah. Sorry, I said diabetes by accident. I meant kidney problems, of course. But the point here is that the equipment that the Israelis are showing, full of weapons like the MRI scanner. I mean, it's like they're specifically preventing people from using these things. They're damaging them, and then when they leave the hospital, if they leave, where are you going to get replacement parts from? This is if you can even turn them on and operate them. Now another hospital, as I said, the Indonesian hospital, the Israelis doing airstrikes nearby.
ننقل لكم الصورة من مستشفى الأندونيسي. استهداف كبير وعنيف جدا داخل ننقله لكم من داخل المستشفى. هذا هو المشهد من غارة عنيفة تستهدف محيط مستشفى الأندونيسي. ننقل لكم الصورة من مستشفى الأندونيسي. استهداف.
This is what it's like with the doctors in Al-Shifa.
الطاقم الطبي بمتابعة الأمر لوجود غبار كثيف.
So this is after the Israelis burst in. Yeah, they can't even breathe properly.
التي تنبعث من القذيفة التي أطلقت على مبنى التخصصات. إذن الاستهداف مباشر لمبنى التخصصات. يتم إجلاء المرضى الذين تم إجلاءهم أصلا من العناية المركزة إلى مكان الممرات الآن. الأمر صعب ومعقد للغاية. يتم إجلاء المرضى الآن من داخل القسم لوجود غبار ودخان كثيف يسبب اختناق المصابين. يتم إجلاء المرضى بصعوبة بالغة. غبار كثيف في المكان.
I mean, can you imagine being wounded in these conditions?
Weeks of bombardment had already left Gaza's largest hospital in what has been described as a catastrophic situation. Doctors at Al-Shifa working under impossible circumstances, caring for hundreds of patients. As Israel's military incursion moves inside the hospital.
The occupation soldiers are still on the ground floor. They are searching employees, civilians, even the injured and patients. Some were stripped and placed in dehumanizing and miserable conditions.
Israel's raid on Al-Shifa has been described as precise and targeted, focused, they say, on claims of a Hamas command center beneath the hospital. But it is civilians, including medical staff and patients, that have been caught in the center of this unrelenting battle.
We can't look through the windows or doors. We don't know what's happening. We can hear tanks moving within the hospital. We can hear continuous shooting that we have now. But again, it's totally scary situation.
So what are these sounds, Doctor? I'm hearing sounds.
It's continuous shooting from the tanks.
Israeli defense officials say soldiers found concrete evidence that Hamas used Al-Shifa hospital as what they have described as a terror headquarters. Though no further details were provided on the nature of this evidence. Both Hamas and healthcare officials have long denied a military presence within Al-Shifa. CNN cannot verify either side's claims. With over 1,000 patients and medical staff still inside the hospital, many have expressed alarm over the civilian impact of the Israeli military's operation.
Our concern on the humanitarian side is for the welfare of the patients of that hospital, which is, of course, in great peril at the moment. We have no fuel to run it. The babies have no incubators, newly born. Some are dead already. We can't move them out. It's too dangerous.
On Wednesday, the Israeli military said their troops had delivered incubators and medical supplies to the Al-Shifa hospital. CNN cannot independently verify this claim and has not been able to reach the hospital for confirmation.
When CNN are calling you a liar, you know, when CNN are calling the Israelis liars, you know that it's bad.
Troops had delivered incubators and medical supplies to the Al-Shifa hospital. CNN cannot independently verify this claim and has not been able to reach the hospital for confirmation. However, the Director General of Gaza's hospitals has warned that babies at Al-Shifa are in severe danger as conditions in the hospital deteriorate further, adding that there is no place to move dozens of incubators outside of the hospital.
You know, it says warning disturbing video, and I appreciate that they did the report, but, you know, again, this is like... No, show the disturbing video. Let people be disturbed. They should be disturbed. Disturb their consciences. You know, disturb their senses. Disturb them mentally. Let them feel just an inkling of what Palestinians have to go through. Maybe then there would be more empathy, because, you know, blurring this out, what does that accomplish? Like, you want to hide what Israel's doing? I know that's not the intention here, because it is upsetting stuff, but still, you know, let people be upset. Let them see what is going on.
No place to move dozens of incubators outside of the hospital under current circumstances. But even as Israel tightens its grip on Al-Shifa, now said to be under the complete control.
By the way, just a second, did you see that box? This one. It's empty. There's nothing in there. That one was ripped open. Look, there's nothing in that box.
CNN can...
I mean, you could tell already from the way they're holding them that they're empty. But again, even if you believe that the Israelis... we're giving, let's say, for the sake of argument, just to play devil's advocate, let's imagine for a second that the Israelis are giving, you know, they're giving 2 MRI scanners, they're giving a dialysis machine, they're giving, you know, a gazillion plasters. So what? The Israelis have destroyed hospitals, entire hospitals. What is, you know, what are these boxes going to do? The fuel that the Israelis claim they have given the Palestinians doesn't even last 30 minutes. It's pathetic. It's an insult. It's disgusting. It's propaganda. It's just PR. It's just so they can go and say, oh, well, we gave the Palestinians... You didn't give them shit. You're a goddamn liar. Even CNN is calling you a liar. Listen to the doctor, the Norwegian doctor at Al-Shifa Hospital. Listen to what he's saying.
President Biden... President Biden, Mr. Blinken, can you hear me? Prime ministers and presidents of the European countries, can you hear me? Can you hear the screams from Shifa Hospital, from Al-Auda's Hospital? Can you hear the screams from innocent people, refugees sheltering, trying to find a safe place, being bombed by the Israeli attack forces this morning inside the hospital? Hospitals that are the temples of humanity and protection. When are you going to stop this? You're all complicit.
This is a Holocaust. You heard the screaming. You saw the shelling. You saw the this is a Holocaust. The Israelis are committing a Holocaust against the Palestinians. There are 300 lawyers now that are trying to take Israel to the ICC. I mean, this is genocide. This is the easiest genocide in history to prove. The easiest one.
حاسة حالي إذا متت مع أمي. حاسة حالي إذا متت مع أمي كان أحسن ما أشوف يعني العذاب هذا والمر هذا اللي بشوفه، المأساة هذه اللي بشوفها، اللي كل حاجة عندي كليتهم يعني كل اللي كنت أعزهم وأحبهم كليتهم راحوا. حاسة حالي إذا متت مع أمي كان أحسن.
This is from a few hours ago. Look how they're trying to evacuate the wounded on the street. This is from Al-Quds Hospital, okay? So they're trying to leave Al-Quds Hospital. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people like dragging their children with, like, there was a woman dragging you know, these car seats for babies, these like hard things. There were so she's got two children and she's trying to drag them like with a rope. I mean, it's just like it's so dehumanizing and degrading that they make Palestinians go through this crap, and then the Israelis act like they're doing them a favor by you know, giving them a safe evacuation route. There's nothing safe about it, and it's not an evacuation. You're forcing these people to leave their homes because you destroyed their homes. You know, you're not doing them any favors. You're the reason that they're suffering. Look at the conditions that people are living in.
متخيلين يا جماعة إنه هاي الطفلة عمرها 10 أيام ولدت في مراكز الإيواء، واليوم أسرتها بتغرق زي ما انتم شايفين، وبيتم نقل مياه الأمطار إلى عبارة يدويا، والكميات كبيرة، والمطبخ اللي كانوا عاملينه شبه مطبخ وهي ملابسهم وكل شيء غير في هذا المكان. أكيد المشهد مأساوي دون أدنى شك وأقل توصيف. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل.
There's more people that are just, you know, like they're completely homeless. I want you to understand, 2/3 of the people in Gaza are homeless now. Okay, 2/3 of the people in Gaza are homeless. UNRWA have about 800,000 Palestinians in their care now. Absolutely insane. Can you imagine that 2/3 of people in Gaza were already homeless once before because they lost their homes after 1948 in the past. So again, just to reiterate, Israeli settlers already stole the homes of most people who are in Gaza. So most people who are in Gaza came from different parts of Palestine. Maybe they came from Ramallah, who knows? But they were internally displaced because Israeli settlers destroyed their homes or stole their homes. And so they came to Gaza. And now, 20 years later, 30 years later, 2 years later, they're being made homeless a second time by the Israelis again. How disgusting is that? How absolutely disgusting is that? Now and look at the kind of conditions that they have to live in now because they're homeless. So, you know, they got to deal with malnutrition. They've got to deal with you know, lack of water. You know, they're sitting in the rain.
اولاد اللي بنعسوا قاعدين بدهم يناموا مش عارفين يناموا، وين اروح؟ انا اشهد مين يا الله؟ جد انا اشهد مين؟ وبعدين يا ناس بدنا نعيش، بدنا ننام اولادنا، طلع يا امة محمد، وين نروح؟ حرب، الله يعين الناس، والله كلنا معين امراض ورملوا، حياة صعبة جدا.
ولا حتى جاكيته معاي ولا بنطلون، نشحت من الناس. حط ايدك هنا كلها ميه، تفضل.
ما ساتر.
طلع فوق.
ما شاء الله.
عندك طفل انا مولوده لسه اول امبارح. هيا وين يا بنات؟
جاد
اول امبارح ما لسه مولوده. اكرت حصان. فيش حليب حطينا لها بس كذاب. اول امبارح.
هاي طفله عمرها شهر.
ايش بردانه؟
ها.
يعني انا حاليا موجود جوا الخيمه، انا هي موجود جوا الخيمه حاليا. طبعا الميه بتنزل علي، فما بالكم الاطفال اللي عمره شهر وشهرين ويوم ويومين بدهم يتحملوا كل هذا؟ هي يا الله طلع. ايش يا حجه وجهك صار ميه.
شايف؟ وين بدنا نروح يا ابني؟
غطي البنت كويس يا علي. غطيها دفيها.
غطي
دفيها. غطي الجرسه. يا الله.
والله دولتنا فيه.
بردانه؟ بردانه؟
هذا عيان. لو جبته من قسم الاطفال.
ايش بدك؟ ايش؟ ايش؟
جوعان.
جوعانه بدك تاكلي؟ بدك احلى اكل يجي لك القيت. انت ما عندكيش اواعي هيك طويله؟ ما عندكيش؟
طلعت ولا حاجه معي. هذا اليوم شحت له شحذ الولد، لبسته.
يا الله. انت طلعتوا من البيت معكوش ولا شيء؟
ولا حاجه، شحت شحذه.
بس ان الله والله العظيم.
يا حدا بدك يروح اكلت حصان؟
ما شاء الله. من قطاع غزه لهنا.
ما شاء الله يا استاذ، اللهم صل على سيدنا. والله شعرها اشقر. شعرها
اول امبارح.
شعرها اشقر يا حجه. انا طلع لك يا حجه.
لا انا سمره يا ابني. احنا ابو يمن سمر.
So you see how bad the situation is, you know, but of course this doesn't stop the Israelis from doing their little propaganda videos. You know, it's very, very bad. It's very, very bad. Here, the UN even posted a video.
I came to Gaza because I wanted to see for myself what was happening here. What I'm seeing are babies, tiny, tiny babies who are dependent on incubators. Those incubators need fuel, they need electricity in order to operate. They're keeping these babies alive. I see all these people who are staying here, people who've been injured, people who really need help. And I think the doctors here are doing amazing work, but there's a lot to be done.
Here's shelling around the Al Shifa hospital from 3 nights ago.
يا عفو ربنا، يا عفو ربنا، يا عفو الله. المنطقة ورا الشمال، الشاطئ، محيط الشفا. هذه قريبة كتير، هذه قريبة كتير. لا إله إلا الله، لا إله إلا الله، لا إله إلا الله، لا إله إلا الله. صبرك وعفوك يا رب، يا رب استرنا يا رب.
And of course, it's much worse since then, right? Because the Israelis have bulldozed parts of the hospital, bombed parts of the hospital with airstrikes, and destroyed the ambulances parked outside. You know, there's not a crime the Israelis haven't committed. If you can think of it, the Israelis did it. I really, I mean, I can't lie to you. This is the truth. Let me show you a surgeon who's working at another hospital, Al Ahli Hospital. What he had to say, he said he's no longer able to provide surgeries at Al Ahli Hospital. The hospital is now effectively a first aid station. Hundreds of wounded, now a hospital with no access to surgery. They will die from their wounds. And you know, he posted the other day a piece of shrapnel that he had removed from a little boy. And I want you to look at this photo, how insane this is. Look at this. So he said this shrapnel went in through the back of an 11-year-old and perforated his bowels, a 2-hour surgery. This one case, one person among thousands. You got 20,000 people, at least 20,000 wounded people. Half of them are children. These are the sleeping quarters that he was posting about at Al Ahli Hospital. Look at the conditions that the doctors are sleeping in. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it shows you what they're doing, and how tireless they're working, that they're sleeping inside the hospital. They can't even leave if they wanted to because it's so unsafe outside. They're being shot at. And look, he posted this today. He said, "Where do you bury a little boy's leg?" So that's the leg on the left, and that's the boy's, you know, he's been had it amputated now. You know, when you see stuff like this, I don't know. You know, the only reaction that you can have is to hell with Israel. That's the only thing you can say, because this behavior is so savage. It's so primitive. It's so you know, violent, that there's no excuse for it. There's no excuse for it. You know, if someone did 1% of this to the Israelis, just 1%, they would never shut up about it. They'd be screaming, "Oh my God, it's a Holocaust 2.0." Yeah, well, there was already a Holocaust against Jews in Europe. Why are Israel, who claim to be the Jewish state, doing the same thing to other people now? Why are they committing genocide? Why are they carrying out a Holocaust against Palestinians? Do they think they have the right to do that? Do they think that being victims of a Holocaust gives them the right to commit a Holocaust against other people? It doesn't. You know, everything we've seen so far, just lies. They lied about what happened on October 7th. At least half, if not 2/3 of the people killed on October 7th were in the army, in the Israeli army. And you know that the Israelis, they have the highest militarized society on the planet. All the settlers carry guns. They kill Palestinians with impunity. So Hamas targeted a legitimate military target, as they always do. Then they lied about the hospitals. They bombed Al-Shifa hospital. They destroyed the equipment, and they said that there's an underground bunker and all this crap. Where is it? Where is the command and control center? They can't provide a shred of evidence. They show us diapers and a bottle, and then they say this is evidence. This is what people are suffering for, so you can show us a diaper? Absolute liars, you know. And again, nothing they say changes the fact that Palestinians have the right to resist. If someone did this to you, the things that I've just shown you in the last half an hour, someone did that to you, what would you do? What would you do? You know, colonizers always call anybody who resists a terrorist. The French did this with the Algerians. They called them terrorists as well. Now they got the country back. Yeah, you know, they fought their war and they took it back from the French. You know, the Viet Cong were called terrorists by the American press. They took the country back. And the Israelis are doing the same thing to the Palestinians. They're calling them terrorists. Everybody's a terrorist. The doctors are apparently terrorists. You know, the Israeli ambassadors going to the UN and saying the UN staff that they've murdered are also in Hamas now. You know, they're liars. The Israelis are the worst liars. They are. I mean, this is really. I don't like to use this word regime because they overuse it so much. This is really an evil regime, and truly, in every sense of the term, an evil regime. Who behaves like this? No one on earth behaves like this. One of you said that it's like a giant torture/murder bulldozer. This is an abomination on humanity, and I couldn't agree more. So let me show you some of the things. I just want to show you some of these weird things that. Yeah, so it's really funny sometimes seeing the way Americans or people in the West approach what's happening in Gaza, right? Because some of them are really ignorant, and they think now that, you know, they're experts on the Middle East. They think that they're experts on Israel, on Palestine, on what's happening. And you see garbage like this person who I've never heard of saying decolonization is the woke version of jihad, and it should be viewed and treated that way. Wow. Yeah, so this is, again, an American way of viewing things, right? So it's either woke or it's unwoke. This is how the world should be viewed. It's always American, you know, it's Anglo-Saxon and American-centric. Yeah, so if this person is a clown and they have no clue what they're talking about, they look, it sounds like they speak English, but they don't speak English. And many people who are supposedly native speakers in English are ass clowns, and they don't know how to speak their own language. So decolonization means that you kick someone who stole your land out. There's nothing to do with jihad. You know, and again, the word jihad is another word that you know, people just throw around in English. They have no clue what it means. They think they know what it means from the media, but the media, you know, they use Islamophobia to justify genocide, and they're doing that right now in Palestine. And this is not even a Muslim issue. It's not a Muslim issue, because people in Palestine, being Palestine, they're not only Muslim. You have Jews in Palestine. You have Christians in Palestine. Of course. This is where Jesus was born, in Palestine. What do you think? He was born in fucking Tennessee or in New York? He's Palestinian. Jesus is Palestinian. So the fact that people want to kick out a bunch of immigrants, well, immigrants is the wrong word, excuse me, colonizers, that's the whole point, from Russia, from Brooklyn, from Australia, from Scotland, is their business entirely. It's their right to do that. If somebody takes your land, you have the right to kick them out. This is a moral right. It's a legal right. It has nothing to do with jihad, right? This is ridiculous. This is, you know, I don't even know what this person means. It's like you know, it's just like an ad saying, yes, look at me. I have no idea what jihad means, and I have no idea how to speak English, and I'm a clown. So Elon Musk then says, yes, this is Elon Musk, remember, okay? This is the richest man in the world. Says, yes, decolonization necessarily implies a Jewish genocide and is therefore unacceptable to any reasonable person. Really? All decolonization. So if you're in Vietnam, it's a Jewish genocide, really. And if you're in Algeria and you're kicking out the French, it's a Jewish genocide, really. I didn't know that. So all decolonization automatically means genocide against Jews. What the fuck does this even mean? This is garbage. How are you the richest person on earth and you can't speak English, and you can't, you know, you're from South Africa. Oh, right. You're from South Africa. Now I know why he doesn't like decolonization. That, you know, this is scandalous. Your English is supposed to be your native language. No? Elon Musk, as some of you may or may not know, is the son of, you know, colonizers, white colonizers in South Africa, apartheid. So, you know, I understand why he has a negative reaction, an emotional negative reaction to decolonization, because the original Africans in South Africa took back their land. And the ANC, which is the ruling party, they used to be called terrorists. The United States used to view the ANC as a terrorist organization, just like they say Hamas is a terrorist organization, right? So, you know, I mean, the situation in Palestine is even worse than in South Africa. People who lived under apartheid that was built by, you know, Elon Musk's, or people like Elon Musk's ancestors, shall we say, you know, they experienced the racism under whites, you know, who colonized South Africa, and they say that what's happening in Palestine is even worse than that. So let that just give you kind of a, you know, an idea of how bad it is, if the presentations that I've given you in the last hour, you know, shouldn't suffice. And you know, this idea it's a Jewish genocide. This is insulting. You know, it's like they have to always frame everything in terms of the Holocaust. Why are you bringing up the Holocaust? Who the hell is talking about the Holocaust? I don't care what religion the Israelis are. Are they colonizers? If the answer is yes, they should be kicked out. Period. No one gives a shit what their religion is. Many Zionists are not even Jews. Joe Biden is a Zionist. Is he Jewish? No. Keir Starmer is a Zionist. Is he Jewish? No. You have a lot of Christian Zionists, whatever that even means. It's an oxymoron, who are you know, as I said, Zionists, they're not Jewish. No, the ones committing genocide are the Israelis. The Israelis are committing genocide. You know, there are 50 million fucking videos and photos being posted a day on your own website, Mr. Musk. Do you not see them? You don't see them? That's not genocide? Because prosecutors would disagree with you. Let me play to you a video from this French lawyer, Gilles Devers, who is now filing a complaint against Israel at the ICC.
It is clear for me that in the situation of Palestine, we have all the criteria of the case law about genocide. And the reference is the two cases, Srebrenica and the Rohingya. So it is not my opinion. It is the reality of law. In fact, for the genocide, proofs are very simple. Because he said, I will cut electricity. And then he cut electricity. And he said, I will deprive alimentation. And there is no alimentation. And he said, you have to leave your house. And they have to leave. And they are transferred. So there is not really difficulty of proofs. So we have a legal concept to act. And then we begin to write the complaint. And in fact, 400 lawyers. And everybody in the world is interested by this question. The first act was of testimony. We are not victims, but we see. And when we see, we speak about that, and we go to the judge. Now we shall begin the second act, that is the action for victim. And we receive mandates from Palestinians, from Gaza. So we began with a hospital, but we have also families. International criminal justice is very effective. If the case progresses, the court do not practice the judgment in absentia. So when the court think that she has sufficient element, she sends one warrant of arrest. And it is not impossible because everybody say that it was the case for Mr. Putin. There is a mandate of arrest of the ICC. So why a mandate for Mr. Putin and no mandate for Netanyahu? Every day I hear that the court can do nothing because Israel do not recognize the ICC and does not ratify the treaty. The fact that we act before the ICC is the strong attack against Israel because Israel denied the ICC and denied international law. So who is in terrorism and who is in legality? Because all Palestinian groups and armed groups in Palestine accept the jurisdiction of the court, and Israel refuses the jurisdiction of the court. Why are you afraid of the action of a judge?
Yeah, that's the funny thing because so I covered this when it happened about 2 years ago, and the ICC said that they will, you know, that they declare jurisdiction over Palestine. Okay, so that means that, you know, Palestinians can take a complaint to the ICC and can have it investigated, and they agree to do so. Now, whether they do something or not is different, but I just want to stress this point that Hamas welcome, they want the ICC to investigate themselves too. They're not saying just investigate Israel. They're saying, please come investigate us as well. We are happy for you to investigate us. And I think that shows you, you know, the difference between the Israelis and the Palestinians, and who has something to hide and who doesn't. The Israelis, you know, of course, you know, their reactions, oh my God, it's anti-Semitic, and oh, it's targeting the Jewish state. No, it actually targets individuals. So if there's a complaint now, it will be against Netanyahu, it will be against Gallant, against the so-called defense minister, against specific people, against Joe Biden. And yeah, you know, as he said, if you're going to have an arrest warrant for Putin, why not have one for Netanyahu as well? I mean, you know, Putin is a joke in terms, you know, of the ICC compared to Netanyahu. Who the hell cares about Putin? What has Putin done that comes even close to Netanyahu? Imagine if the Russians had gone into a Ukrainian hospital and were filming themselves, you know, taking it apart and then planting evidence and then besieging 7,000 people inside the hospital. Just imagine the reaction. they would go ballistic. They would lose it. You know, they'd be fucking whining about it on CNN and all this. You know. But because it's happening to Palestinians and the Israelis do it, and we can't say anything about the Israelis, yeah, they cower away. But, you know, this guy, the French lawyer, Gilles Devers, so he's amassed an army of like 400 lawyers now, right, to take this to the ICC all over the world. I don't think anything is gonna happen, because the Israelis and the Americans, you know, they always attack these institutions and undermine them. And the ICC, the only thing the ICC have ever done is they go after African leaders. They and you know, Putin, which is a new thing. So either Eastern European or African leaders. That's what the ICC does. Bush, no. Bush Senior, no. Tony Blair, no. Netanyahu, not until present. So, you know, I don't expect them to do anything. I just don't. I have no you know, hope in this whatsoever. But you know, it would be refreshing if Netanyahu and Joe Biden can't travel anywhere anymore because they would be arrested. You know, because Putin couldn't come to the BRICS summit because of this. He sent Lavrov in his stead. In any case, a lot of Americans really, and people in the West, it's not just Americans, they talk out of their assholes. They don't know what they're saying. They have no clue what words mean. They have no idea what they're talking about. This is like the most moronic thing I've read in my life. It actually pains me to read this. Let me show you something that's been going viral, which is really funny. So there's a letter that Osama bin Laden wrote to America. It's called Letter to America. And The Guardian just deleted it from their website because it's gone viral. So you can say it says remove document. And it's so funny. It's so funny. People on TikTok have been circulating this, and I'm going to read bits of it to you. Because it's, you know, a lot of them are having existential crises right now after having read this. And this relates to what's happening in Palestine, because Osama bin Laden mentions Palestine several times. Now, just as a disclaimer, you know, Osama bin Laden's right-hand man, Ayman al-Zawahiri, he blew up the Egyptian embassy next to my school, okay? So, you know, I fully despise Al-Qaeda, and I've lived through one of their attacks, and I know what it's like. So I don't care about Al-Qaeda, and Osama bin Laden's a CIA asset, okay? So and I'm a Christian. So there's no, you know, just to be clear, Americans don't get to monopolize being victims of Osama bin Laden or something like that, and they're not going to school me. I will lecture you, and I will school you. This is what the letter says. So I'm just going to skip through to the more interesting parts, right? So some American writers, Osama bin Laden says, have published articles under the title, "On What Basis Are We Fighting?" These articles have generated a number of responses, some of which adhere to the truth and were based on Islamic law, and others which have not. Here we wanted to outline the truth as an explanation and warning. So question one is, and these are questions directed at Americans, okay? Question one is, why are we fighting and opposing you, the Americans? And question two is, what are we calling you to, and what do we want from you? As for the first question, why are we fighting and opposing you? The answer is very simple. Because you, the Americans, attacked us and continue to attack us. A, you attacked us in Palestine. Palestine, which has sunk under military occupation for more than 80 years. The British handed over Palestine with your help and your support to the Jews, who have occupied it for more than 50 years, years overflowing with oppression, tyranny, crimes, killing, expulsion, destruction, and devastation. Now, just to be clear, in Arabic, colloquially, when you say the Jews in this context, you're talking about the Israelis, the Zionists. I wish that it would be, I think it should be clear. It should be, you know, the Zionists, and it very often is. But when you hear that, it means the Israelis. It does not mean Jews in general. You know, and I'm telling you this because Arabic is my second native tongue after English. So I'm telling you, this is what it means. It does not mean Jews everywhere all over the world. Remember, many Arabic countries, Iraq, Syria, Morocco, Egypt, have very large Jewish communities, which Israel dismantled on purpose. So colloquially, it means the Israelis. That's a fact. So in any case, he continues to say that the creation and continuation of Israel is one of the greatest crimes, and you are the leaders of its criminals. And of course, there is no need to explain and prove the degree of American support for Israel. The creation of Israel is a crime which must be erased. Each and every person whose hands have become polluted in the contribution towards this crime must pay its price and pay for it heavily. It brings us both tears, it brings us both laughter and tears to see that you have not yet tired of repeating your fabricated lies, that the Jews have a historical right to Palestine as it was promised to them in the Torah. Anyone who disputes this with them on this alleged fact, is accused of anti-Semitism. This is one of the most fallacious, widely circulated fabrications in history. The people of Palestine are pure Arabs and original Semites. Yes. It is the Muslims who are the inheritors of Moses, peace be upon him, and the inheritors of the real Torah, and that has not changed. Muslims believe in all of the prophets, including Abram, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon them all. If the followers of Moses have been promised a right to Palestine in the Torah, then the Muslims are the most worthy nation of this. When the Muslims conquered Palestine and drove out the Romans, Palestine and Jerusalem returned to Islam, the religion of all the prophets, peace be upon them. Therefore, the call to a historical right to Palestine cannot be raised against the Islamic Ummah that believes in all the prophets of Allah, peace and blessings be upon them, and we make no distinction between them. So, just a couple of points on this. So, he is correct when he says that Palestinians are the original Semites. You know, obviously someone who comes from Brooklyn or Scotland is not a fucking Semite. They're just not. And, you know, this idea that someone from Russia or Ukraine or Poland has more right to land in Palestine than someone from Palestine is lunacy. And I'm not going to tolerate it. No one, and this, you know, we're never going to change on this point. So, Palestinians are Semites. Arabs are Semites. This is the definition, the dictionary definition of a Semite, period. You know, it means someone who comes from the tribe of Sam in the Bible, right? Shem. So Israelis think that they are Semites because they speak Hebrew. So what? If someone from China learns Hebrew, that makes them a Semite? You know, in any case, another thing he says here is that, you know, he says that the Muslims are the inheritors of Moses and the inheritors of Palestine, so on. So Palestine should be secular. This is my point of view, and this is the point of view of most Arabs, because when you talk about Syria, when you talk about Palestine, these are secular countries. Jerusalem is important not just for Muslims, it's important for Christians, it's important for Jews, for all religions. That's why the UN originally envisaged it as being a separate body. But you know, if we have to choose between Israeli colonialism, American colonialism, and it being Muslim, I would gladly get rid of the Israeli colonizers, of course, because the Israeli colonizers just yesterday they're attacking the Armenian quarter and trying to expel Christians from Jerusalem. Just yesterday, as we speak, they're attacking Palestinians in Gaza. They're killing them in the West Bank. The Israelis don't care what religion the Palestinians are. If they're Jewish, they'll attack them. If they're Christian, they'll attack them. If they're Muslims, they'll attack them. They don't care. The Israelis only care about, are you Zionist or not? So what he says is of course true, though. You know that Muslims hold dear all the prophets. Of course, this is a fact. You know, this is a fact. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the Holy Quran, Jesus is mentioned more times than Muhammad. So you know, remember also these religions come from the same area. This is the point that he's trying to make ultimately. Jews, and then Christians, and then Muslims, these are the same people from the same area. Somebody from Russia, somebody from, you know, Scotland or Australia has no fucking connection to them. Doesn't matter if they adopt the religion or not. It's not their land. He said the blood pouring out of Palestine must be equally revenged. You must know that Palestinians do not cry alone. Their women are not widowed alone. Their sons are not orphaned alone. Then he says, you attacked us in Somalia. You supported the Russian atrocities against us in Chechnya, the Indian oppression against us in Kashmir, and the Jewish aggression or the Israeli aggression against us in Lebanon. Under your supervision, consent, and orders, the government of our countries, which act as your agents, attack us on a daily basis. This is a good point. You know, I don't think that he is necessarily overlapping with what I'm saying, but look at, for example, the leaders that you have in the Gulf. So the Arab leaders in the Persian Gulf, you know, like you know which ones I'm talking about, the emirs, the kings, the sultans, you know, the princes, all of these royal families. They are agents of the West. They are bigger Zionists than some Jews or most Jews, right? So that is really something to think about. The Arab leaders in the Persian Gulf are bigger Zionists than a lot of Jews. Let that sink in. And then he goes on to list all these examples. You know, like, you know, you think that history started on 9/11. No, it didn't. You've been attacking us for 80 goddamn years. When he says us, he means the Islamic Ummah. In Arabic, Ummah has two meanings. It means the Islamic world. It could also mean the Arabic world, right? It's not necessarily the same, although people often associate the two. Then he says, these governments steal our Ummah's wealth and sell them to you at a paltry price. He means the oil, right? He says these governments have surrendered to the Israelis and handed them most of Palestine, acknowledging the existence of their state over the dismembered limbs of their own people. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, Egypt, Jordan, and of course Bahrain and the UAE and Saudi Arabia. I mean, scandalous, really. He says the removal of these governments is an obligation upon us and a necessary step to free the Ummah, to make the Sharia the supreme law, and to regain Palestine. And our fight against these governments is not separate from our fight against you. I think there's a typo there. So, you know, he gives all these examples here also about the Americans stealing the wealth because of their military bases and their forces occupying our countries. You spread your military bases throughout them. You corrupt our lands and you besiege our sanctities to protect the security of the Jews and to ensure the continuity of your pillage of our treasures. You know, he's talking about the military bases that are in Saudi Arabia. He's talking about the military bases that are in Qatar, that are, you know, all over the Middle East, all over the goddamn place, in Syria, you know, the illegal ones in Syria. But he means the ones that have been given permission by these Arab leaders to exist. In Syria, you know, no one gave Americans permission. But in Saudi Arabia, it's like, yeah, please come, let's upgrade your missile system, you know. He says that you have starved the Muslims of Iraq, where children die every day. It is a wonder that more than 1.5 million Iraqi children have died as a result of your sanctions, and you did not show concern. Yet when 3,000 of your people died, the entire world rises and has not yet sat down. Is this man lying? He's not lying. You know, we're supposed to care more about 3,000 Americans than than, you know, 500,000 children. 1 million children, 1.5 million children in Iraq. But both of these things are sad. But what does he say then in the letter about attacking civilians? He says, you may then dispute that all of the above does not justify aggression against civilians for crimes they did not commit and offenses in which they did not partake. Right? He's saying that you might think, as you're reading this letter, that it doesn't justify attacking the World Trade Center and killing civilians, because these civilians in America, they had nothing to do with stealing the oil, with you know, killing Palestinians, starving Iraqi children. So what does he say then? He says that this argument contradicts your continuous repetition that America is the land of freedom and its leaders in this world. Therefore, the American people are the ones who choose their government by way of their own free will, a choice which stems from their agreement to its policies. Okay, so he's saying, how can you say that Americans, the average American, the average Joe, has nothing to do with killing Palestinians, with stealing the oil, with putting bases in the Middle East, when you keep telling us that America is the beacon of democracy and you choose your fucking government? How do you choose your government and then you have nothing to do with what the government does? Which one is it? Are you the land of the free? Are you a democracy, or are you not a democracy? You can't have both. I mean, this is brilliant. What he's saying is sound. This is, you know, again, Bin Laden is a CIA asset. He's a piece of shit. But what he's saying here is correct. You can't say you have nothing to do with it and then lecture people about democracy and say, oh, look at us. We are so free. We choose the government. Well, then you chose what the government's doing. Thus, the American people have chosen, have consented to, and have affirmed their support for the Israeli oppression of the Palestinians, the occupation and usurpation of their land, and its continuous killing, torture, punishment, and expulsion of the Palestinians. The American people have the ability and the choice to refuse the policies of their government and even to change it if they want. The American people are the ones who pay the taxes which fund the planes that bomb us in Afghanistan, the tanks that strike and destroy our homes in Palestine, the armies which occupy our lands in the Arabian Gulf, and the fleets which ensure the blockade of Iraq. These tax dollars are even given to Israel for it to continue to attack us and penetrate our lands. So the American people are the ones who fund the attacks against us, and they are the ones who oversee the expenditure of these monies in the way they wish through their elected candidates. Also, the American army is part of the American people. It is this very same people who are shamelessly helping the Israelis fight against us. The American people are the ones who employ both their men. By the way, I just want to say one point before I forget. When he says the Jews, the Israelis, Israel is the one that says we are the Jewish state. It is the Israelis, the Zionists, who constantly want you and I to associate Jews with Zionism, when these two have nothing to do with each other. Being, as I said, Zionism is a disgusting political ideology that came out of Europe. It's settler colonialism. It's nothing to do with Jews. But the Israelis are the ones that want everybody to associate being Jewish with being a Zionist. So, you can't blame people for then catching, for this growing on them and then using that colloquially, even though I wouldn't do it. But that he's talking about the Israelis. So he then says that the American people are the ones who employ both their men and their women in the American forces which attack us. This is why the American people cannot be innocent of all the crimes committed by the Americans and the Israelis against us. And then he says, God says that, we have the permission to take revenge. If we are attacked, then we have the right to attack back. Whoever has destroyed our villages and towns, then we have the right to destroy their villages and towns. Whoever has stolen our wealth, then we have the right to destroy their economy. And whoever has killed our civilians, we have the right to kill theirs. Now, again, this is basically an eye for an eye. I can't say that I necessarily believe in that, but that's what he's arguing. He's saying, fair is fair. You fucked with us, so we're going to fuck with you. The American government and press still refuse to answer the question, why did they attack us in New York and Washington? If Sharon is a man of peace in the eyes of Bush, remember Sharon was the Israeli prime minister, then we are also men of peace. America doesn't understand the language of manners and principles, so we are addressing America using the language that it understands. And then he says, regarding the second question, what do we want from Americans? What do we want from you? So the first thing he says, we're calling you to Islam. And he says this basically because, as he mentions above, Islam it united all the prophets into one. It believes in all the prophets and so on. And this is a theological discussion. In terms of politics, he goes on to say, so again, he talks about theology here, about the Quran and so on, okay? But here he says that he wants Americans to stop their oppression, to stop lying, to stop their immorality and debauchery. Okay, he's asking Americans to be a people of manners, people of principles, honor, purity, to reject the immoral acts of fornication, homosexuality, intoxicants, etc., 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 etc. So he's basically saying that Americans they talk about freeing women, but then they commodify women and turn them into sex objects, and so on. Right, and then the Americans have interest, usury, right? So usury, which is banned by all religions in Islam and so on. So taking interest is a sin. You can't tax people for borrowing money and then make criminal investments and so on. So he's talking about commodifying women. He's talking about taking interest. About usury. He's talking then about gambling, about the stock market, and all these things. That's what he's asking Americans to do. And he says that it is saddening to tell you that you are the worst civilization witnessed by the history of mankind. Right? And again, he mixes a lot of theological things, a lot of religion with politics. Now, again, Osama bin Laden is an extremist. Yes, he's a CIA asset. So I don't agree with all the things that he's saying necessarily. And I'm not going to have a theological discussion because I don't pretend to be an expert on Islamic theology. But I can tell you that this letter is important to read because all the shit that they've been feeding you in the mainstream media is that, America's the ultimate victim. America, nothing happened before 9/11. America was the land of the free, and they attacked us because of our freedom. This is exactly what Bush said. They hate us because we're free. They hate us for our freedoms. What kind of fucking bullshit is that? There's a big difference between saying they hate us for our freedoms and they hate us because we murdered, 1 million children in Iraq and we've occupied their country with bases and stolen their wealth. These are two different, very, very, very different things. Now, you may still disagree with the latter, but that doesn't change the fact that Bush lied. The media lied. And The Guardian, by deleting this letter today, they're scared. Where's the free press? Why are you afraid of people reading what Osama bin Laden wrote and making up their own mind? Why don't you want people to read this? They're saying, oh, it lacks context. I don't need context. I know what the context is. I remember 9/11. I remember all of this shit. I don't need it. I remember the terrorist bombing next to my school that was carried out by Al Qaeda. I know all of this shit. I'm an adult. I can make up my own mind. So again, he also talks about the blowjob in the Oval Office, which is funny that he mentions that. But again, this is 2002 when he wrote this, so it was sort of relevant. But yeah, you should read it. You should definitely read it. It's very interesting. And I don't think that all of the things are everything he's saying is correct. But it's so funny watching Americans lose it. Like look at this neocon, this neoconservative, who of course she's a neoconservative, so she says this. Says thousands of TikTok users are siding with Osama bin Laden, who murdered 3,000 Americans. No, thousands of Americans are just learning that you, the neocon bitch and your friends, you fucking murdered millions of people in Iraq and Afghanistan and Somalia and Syria and so on. You're the fucking murdering bitch. This is a prime example, she says, of how our foreign enemies poison social media to advance their evil agenda. What social media? This is The Guardian. I thought they were a respectable news outlet. I'm just reading the letter. I'm a journalist. I'm not allowed to do my job and add commentary and context. You dirty neocon. So she says, ban TikTok. Ban TikTok. Oh my God. I thought Republicans and conservatives and neocons are against censorship. No? Well, the neocons have always been the best at that. But it's so funny watching her and Megyn Kelly, who's another one. They typically made fun of people who wanted safe spaces or who wanted, to cancel others. They would call them, basically fascists. They would say, you're pro-censorship. Why are you trying to cancel people? We are against cancel culture. We don't like that. And now they're trying to do it. Isn't that funny? So, and you're seeing this all the time. It's not just about Osama bin Laden's letter. It's about everything that's happening in Gaza. If you open your mouth about the Israelis, who comes raining down on you? It's not just the liberals. It's the neoconservatives, the people that have been railing about cancel culture. Now suddenly they want cancel culture. They want to cancel anybody who's pro-Palestine or who has a fucking brain and eyes and ears and can see what's happening. Apparently you should be canceled because you dare to speak out against the Israelis. Bow down before them, you goyim bastards. Goyim is a term that basically means, like an infidel. And why do I bring this up? Because the Israeli defense minister called Palestinians human animals. This is a very, very specific term. This comes from the Talmud. Talmud is basically, it's commentary. It's a book that is different. It's separate from the Old Testament, from the original Torah, the Bible that I know. The Talmud is extremist. Like, it takes things to another level. They make fun of Jesus. His mother was a whore. All sorts of nasty, nasty things. And they say that anyone who's not a Jew is a human animal and therefore should be killed. And it's okay to kill them. This is a very specific term, not animal, human animal. And Netanyahu's defense minister said that 2 weeks ago. So to justify the genocide. So it's completely, absolutely relevant to bring this up. And it shows you again how the Zionists, the Israelis, they aren't Jews. They're not Jews. They just pick and choose what they like from the Bible and say, well, in the Torah, it says this is the land given to the Jews. And then they'll go and take shit from the Talmud and use that and call Palestinians human animals. When the Bible, the original Bible, says, don't kill. It's one of the 10 Commandments, says, thou shalt not kill. Do the Israelis apply this? No, they don't give a fuck. The 10 Commandments say, thou shalt not steal. Do the Israelis apply this? No, they steal Palestinian land all the time. They're built on stolen land. Big difference between the two. So Osama bin Laden obviously doesn't go into that, but I do, because it is very relevant. But he does make a very good point that, if you're going to talk about promised land and who are the inheritors of Moses, who are the Semites? Well, obviously it's people who are Semitic, who are from the Middle East. not a bunch of people who come from Russia or Ukraine or whatever, you know, the United States, the UK. Who the hell are you? You're colonizers. But again, it's so funny watching these conservatives lose their minds. You know, they always do this. And Glenn Greenwald made a great point about this. You know, about how they always act like history began before. You know, it began on 9/11. America is the victim, and therefore America can kill and invade. History began on February 24th, 2022. Ukraine is the victim, therefore NATO can assist Ukraine to do, to do a proxy war and launch a proxy war against Russia. History began on October 7th. Therefore, the Israelis have the right to murder Palestinians and butcher them in broad daylight. Well, no, I'm sorry. History did not begin on October 7th, nor on February 24th, nor on 9/11. There's context. You're the ones, The Guardian, you're the ones that lack context. You're the ones that are pro-censorship. You're the ones that attack the free press and censor and you run counter to everything you claim to represent. You're bullshitters of the highest order. So, like I said, I hate bin Laden. Al-Qaeda is a CIA asset. Al-Qaeda came and destroyed Syria. Al-Qaeda came and destroyed Iraq. Al-Qaeda were doing the bidding of the CIA against the Soviets, and then they used them basically after they had funded and trained the Mujahideen. You had it splinter off into the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and the people who were running this were not just bin Laden, but Ayman al-Zawahiri, and they received millions, but Osama bin Laden comes from a billionaire family, so, he was already set up. They were running this out of, so I've been to this. This is on the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. You have the Khyber Pass, and you have Peshawar, and you had the Maktab al-Khadamat, which is basically the Bureau of Services. And what this was, it was like a travel agency for jihadists, that they had set up. And again, I don't like using this word jihad because neoconservatives and ignorant Americans like to throw it around as if they know what it means. But let's, we're talking about these Salafi jihadist fighters that Al-Qaeda had really become great at recruiting from all over the world. They brought them in from Tunisia, from Syria, from everywhere, all over the world, into Afghanistan to fight the Russians. And they did it through this Bureau of Services. They were buying them plane tickets, setting up their travel expenses and everything. And they were doing it with CIA money, from American money. So, I find this funny that Nikki Haley and Megyn Kelly are upset. Why are you upset? Osama bin Laden is your boy. He's your man. He's Mr. CIA. Doesn't belong to anyone else. Why are you upset that people are reading his words? He's your guy. God, it's so funny, man. I swear it's so funny. In any case, yeah, he's a piece of shit, but he makes good points. And they just don't like the letter because the letter is a mirror. This letter is a mirror. It's a mirror being held up to Americans and showing them that their politics are ugly. Their country is unfortunately built on lies. Their foreign policy is ugly. Their wars are even uglier. Everything about the country is I mean, I don't know how to put this. I don't want to sound like bin Laden, but he makes some good fucking points. It's the truth. You can't murder people and commit genocide against them and then claim you stand for international law and you're a democracy. You can't say that, American civilians are innocent when American civilians, you use them to invade other countries. You put them in the armed forces and you use them to attack Vietnam, to attack Arabs, to attack people all over the world. You can't separate the two. You can't then say American civilians have nothing to do with the government when you're telling us that you're the best democracy in the world and everybody should have your form of government. These things are a contradiction. If Americans choose their government and their government is evil, then you're saying Americans are evil. You're saying that, not me. The Americans say they are the best country in the world because of their democracy. And they use that to sanction other people, to lecture them about international law, to lecture them about human rights. Remember, one of the main arguments they used to invade Iraq and kill 1 million people was, we need to, topple Saddam Hussein and give the Iraqis a democracy. That was a disgusting goddamn lie. And they did it because they think that they are the ultimate democracy. They're the leaders of the free world, whatever the fuck that even means. So these are contradictions. Now, if you ask me, I don't think Americans choose their government. The government in the United States is a mafia. They have nothing to do with Americans. So, I'm just showing that Osama bin Laden's point, it exposes a logical fallacy. There is a contradiction going on between what Americans tell the world and what is happening. So he's right to point it out. Americans have nothing to do with their government. You don't get a fucking say in what your government does. Your government is a corporation. It's just the way it is. It's not nice, but that's the truth. So, you know, I don't think it's okay to kill civilians anywhere. I don't think they should have, you know, been killed on 9/11, and they shouldn't be killed in Palestine either. Who's the root of all this evil? Who made Bin Laden, you know, into Mr. Al Qaeda? It's the CIA. Who's running the CIA? Who's supplying Israel with weapons and money? It's the same group of people. They all come back to the same group of people. And remember, Nikki Haley's mad at Bin Laden. She doesn't like Bin Laden. Why? I thought you like Al Qaeda. Israel worked with Al Qaeda in Syria side by side. It's not me saying that. The former director of the Mossad, which is Israel's version of the CIA, was going on Al Jazeera and saying, yeah, we worked with Al Qaeda fighters inside of Syria to topple the government. So what's wrong with Al Qaeda? I thought you liked them. That you're fucking allies, no? So funny, man. It's just like it's like a Russian doll, you know, like multiple layers and levels of hypocrisy. It's just so funny, you know. Anyway, they just don't like people being educated. That's all. That's, you know, they people are circulating the letter and having an existential crisis because they've been spoon-fed bullshit their whole lives that America's the best. You know, they're the leaders of the free world. Everyone who objects is a fucking terrorist. Their whole countries deserve to be bombed and leveled to the ground and murdered, and babies killed and women murdered and men murdered. Everybody should be killed because America this and America that. Yeah, well, guess what? That's not true. That's not right. That's propaganda. It's war propaganda. And I forget that a lot of these people's that are circulating the letter on TikTok were not alive during 9/11, which is a bit mind-blowing to me, because I think most of you, I'm not sure, tell me in the comments whether you were or not. I remember 9/11. I remember all of this crap. I have like elephant memory. So anyway, there you go. I just thought we'd have a quick read through it. Have a quick read through it. Thank you for the donation. Oli Ola Tuba says, hey Richard, كيفك يا زلمة? كل شيء تمام الحمد لله وانت. Keep up the good work, brother. And just wanted to say, if Genocide Joe can't support Palestine over the other team, then he ain't Irish. Yes, yeah, that's correct, right? Remember when he's talking to Charlemagne and says, and you ain't black. God, he's so funny. I don't know if I don't know what's gonna happen in the next election. I'm not gonna make any predictions, but I saw a poll from yesterday that said half of Democrats don't want him to run for office next year. You know, I don't know what's gonna happen. Hold on, I think you can hear me double. I'm sorry for that. But listen, I just wanted to say that when it comes to Biden, I wasn't expecting him to win. I thought that, you know, he was embarrassing himself. He was going on and saying text Joe 30330, and he couldn't even, you know, handle himself on stage. But he still made it, so he could still be around. And I think if you want to look at his support for the Israelis, just remember that Trump supported the Israelis a lot, and if Trump were in office, he would also be giving the Israelis all the weapons they need, all the political cover they need. He would be doing this 100%, and we know this because he gave the Israelis the U.S. embassy, you know, put it in Jerusalem. He apparently decided the Golan Heights don't belong to Syria anymore; they belong to him, and he gave them to Israel. Okay, actually, it's not okay, but he just sounds delusional. He did a lot of good things for the Israelis, right? In their eyes. So he's very, very, very much a Zionist. And I don't know, you know, we'll see what happens. But thank you guys for the super chats. I'm very grateful. And again, I've been blabbing now, going off about this for about 2 hours, I think. But I just want to remind you, YouTube demonetized my channel. They took away my money because I told the truth about Israel. I say fuck them. If you guys can support me, please make sure you do, because I need to make up for what they took away from YouTube. They're doing this to everybody. You know, forget the money, man. They're taking away people's lives in Gaza. They're taking away their limbs, their family members in Gaza. So I shouldn't complain. I have no right to complain. You know, and there are tons of people that are losing their jobs as well outside of being deplatformed. There's very famous Chinese artist who just had his exhibitions canceled. Let me show you, in London. Weiwei is his name, right? They allow him to criticize China all the time, but because he opened his mouth about Israel, oh, your exhibitions in London shut down, New York shut down, Paris shut down. You know, this is how they do. No one loves censorship more than Zionists. They are the most fucking, you know, adamant, rabid pro-censorship people on the face of the planet. You can't open your bloody mouth about them. To hell with them. They are genocidal maniacs, and they know that they're wrong. They know their behavior is wrong. They don't represent Jews. They don't represent anyone except the interests of the Israeli lobby and European colonizers. That's it. That's who they are. They are a bunch of losers. Everybody can see right through them, and they are scared shitless because of that. Okay, I went off on a bit of a tangent. I just wanted to say, please support the show if you can, because they took away my primary source of income, of revenue. So, you know, YouTube is completely demonetized. I tried submitting it, resubmitting my application for the program. I can't do it. I go on the page, there's nothing there. So I think I have to wait 90 days maybe to just even try to get monetized again, which is really lovely, right? But in any case, I need to make up for that. So please, if you can, I don't know, throw a few bucks on Rumble my way, or on PayPal, or Cash App doesn't work anymore for some reason. How you know, what a coincidence. And YouTube doesn't work anymore, but Rumble, Patreon, and PayPal do. Yeah, that's it. So I'm just going to paste the links. And thank you very much for your donations, those of you who already donated. I don't know where my phone is. Give me a second. I'm going to try and see if we had anything come through on PayPal or otherwise. So we've got something on PayPal from 2 hours ago. Give me a second to read it. This is from Marissa. It's good to see you, Marissa. She says the illustration video they made in late October of the Shifa hospital is giving Colin Powell at the UN. Hey, I'm mad at you. You probably heard me mention this before. I forgot to say this earlier. Exactly what Marissa said, okay? And you guys know I brought this up before. The illustration that I think you meant to say giving you Colin Powell vibes at the UN, right? Yeah, so absolutely. Just to pull this up on the screen so you guys know what we're laughing about. This illustration, the 3D animation of the Shifa hospital, it's exactly like the Colin Powell presentation at the UN when he was talking about Iraqi WMDs, which didn't exist, right? So again, just like cheap, super cheap, dumb computer graphics, okay? Hold on, I think I tweeted about it like 2 weeks ago. Let me pull up the tweet. Oh my god, I mean... Yeah, here we go. Here we go. This is it. So I said back then, I said that I'm old enough to remember this, and you can see Colin Powell holding up this vial of I don't know what that was, like, you know, washing powder, and he brought these are actual drawings that he brought to the United Nations Security Council. These are the real drawings. I didn't make these. He brought these with him. The United States presented these at the UN and said this is proof that Saddam Hussein is building biological and chemical weapons, mobile, okay, this is a mouthful, that Saddam Hussein had basically mobile stations that could manufacture biological and chemical warfare agents. So, you know, just ridiculous. It's just a drawing. It's a cheap, stupid drawing. And this is exactly, I was responding to Netanyahu's stupid animation where he says that there's a Hamas command and control center underneath the hospital, which there isn't, right? Exactly the same playbook. Oh, here's a computer animation. This is proof. No, it's fucking not. Anyway, that Marissa was referring to that. So thanks for the laugh, Marissa. I appreciate it. We've got another donation on PayPal. This one just came in from Ali. Thank you very much. And we have Susan, who's just joined on Patreon. Thank you very much. So guys, again, it's very, very important that you support the show. You support independent media. These bastards took my money away. They want to silence me. They want to stop me from doing my work. I say to hell with them, and I need your help to keep doing it. So in any case, let me play a crab dance because I owe one to Susan, and then we'll continue. Let's go.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard. Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Listen, fuckhead, you fucking crossed the line.
claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of a bitch?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Cut that bitch off.
Thank you for Iron Dome.
Thank you.
والله في كلاب بصراحة يعني. ماشي نشتغل عادي.
We lied, we cheated, we stole.
China.
And you ain't black.
There's always the macro.
And then there's the micro.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
You talking to me? Ladies and gentlemen,
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large.
we got him.
Because I have to do it myself. I know it's not.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Get up.
Disgusting!
She was 12, I was 30, but anyway. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Why you text Sanders? Why? You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. Okay.
Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you!
Man, that thing with Ed O'Keefe at the end kills me. He's like, man, it's so funny. Yo, guys, before I forget, please do me a favor. And again, you are gonna find this video very informative. I made a video called "How to Respond to Israeli Propaganda," and I debunked 20 lies, 20 myths that you always hear from Israelis. Oh, Hamas is a terrorist organization. Israel has the right to defend it. I just went through one by one in seconds. Learn how to respond to their bullshit. And I made the video in Arabic as well. Okay, so this is the English version. And then right underneath, I made the Arabic version. Here. I'm posting them in the comment section, okay? So I did them in both languages because I wanted everybody English to be able to... And then I wanted everybody to be able to learn how to respond to this, okay? Because it's very important.
يقول إنه حماس منظمة إرهابية. هذا الشيء مو صحيح. اتفاقية جنيف بتقول إذا بلدك.
Okay, so I'm posting both of them in the comment section, and just watch them if you haven't seen them already. Share them if you have, okay, yeah, that's what I want to say. That's it. So in any case, thank you for the donation. Hold on, I need a second. It's refreshing. Ibrahim, thank you very much. Ibrahim says Palestinian people are the most resilient people on earth. God bless them. God bless Richard. Keep up the great work. Thank you, and again, more power to them. And God protect them. Thank you to Music for the donation, and thank you also to Ali. Ali says thank you, Richard. I forgot to put a message, so I decided to send a bit more with a message to let you know. We will never forget you, Habibi. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. I really appreciate it. Taslam. And thank you on Rumble to Roxygen. Says thanks for your commitment to the truth. I'm much obliged. And my spiritual time says keep teaching the young Richard. Us old ones won't be around long. No, well, hopefully you will. But you're probably exaggerating your age. So thank you in any case. And someone somewhere said World War III is going to happen soon because the world cannot continue the way it is going now. International organizations are broken and we are living in a jungle. Well, yeah, apparently everybody outside the EU is in a jungle according to Joseph Borrell. But no, I know what you're saying, and I want to just kind of say a few words that relate to your point. You need to understand that what's happening in Gaza and what happened in Ukraine are part of the same war. There's a war that's happening between global South and the global North. In old terms, you would say the West and, the East. But also because can't we just fucking kick Australia up to the North so we can, or should we kick it around up to America and then we can just say East and West? But no, it's when we say global South, we're talking about what used to be called Third World. So people, that are neither Soviet bloc nor Western bloc, but it's morphed to include countries that are part of the non-aligned movement and that are also developing countries. In any case, there is a war going on between these countries and the others. Russia, is part of the global South, and their struggle against NATO it's directly related to the, even though they're different, they're still related because you have the same actor, NATO, working with Israel against the Palestinians. So they're part of the same war. There's also an economic war, the economic dimension to all this, what's happening between the old financial system and the new monetary system that's being built by BRICS and by Belt and Road Initiative. And I made videos about these things, right? Remember, I contextualized these things by making two-part analysis about the gas that, that's in the Mediterranean Sea, that Gaza has, that Syria have, that Lebanon have. And then also I talked about this new Silk Road and the competitor they're trying to build to that. These are all related. So please watch those videos if you haven't seen them already. And if you want the links to them, give me a second. I'll try and fetch them. Just a moment. Yeah, so here's part 1. I'm pasting it in the chat, and hold on, I think I misfired this one. Give me a sec, I'll do it again. Okay, this is part 1 for you guys to watch, and then there's a part 2, and they're both on Twitter and they're on Rumble as well if you want to watch them on Rumble. Okay. There you go. So, yeah, watch them if you haven't already. And thank you again for all your donations. I appreciate that very much. Thank you for helping me to stay afloat and keep doing what I'm doing. Junker says, thank you for all you do. Keep it up. I would love to have you interview David Icke. I don't know if I didn't know David Icke is still active, but that would be a very, very interesting conversation, to say the least. It certainly would. I don't know if all of you are familiar with him. He's an English guy, and during the Bush Blair years, he had a lot of interesting things to say about the neocons and about what they were doing. I don't agree with everything he said, but he was opposed to them and their wars, and that's something that's very good. That he opposed these wars and opposed the Blair and Bush regimes. Christine Marcotte, thank you for the donations. Is glad you covered the idiotic and pathetic videos of the IOF at the El Shifa Hospital. Thank you for all your content and the truth. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. And it was important to go through it, as painful as it was, because of how sloppy their propaganda is. I mean, they kind of, I was half joking to myself, maybe someone from Hamas works with the Israelis in the Israeli army, and they made this propaganda that sloppy so we could see through it. I don't know. I'm just joking, but maybe someone from Hamas was there to sabotage it. Who knows? By the way, just a small note in case some of you don't know, the French government have apparently issued an arrest warrant, not for Netanyahu, who's committing genocide, but against Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president. I mean, can you think of a more pathetic thing to do? Like, the whole world is screaming about what's happening in Gaza, and the French government, Macron, every day he's like flip-flopping what he says. Like, one day he's saying, oh, it's unacceptable what Israel are doing, and then the next day he says, well, Israel has the right to defend itself. He's a clown. He's a clown. He has no spine. And they have government. They have the French government have the time to go and put out an arrest warrant against Bashar al-Assad. They've got time, at the ICC to go do one against Putin, just like that, for some bogus charge. But they can't, whip one out to get Netanyahu or Joe Biden. None of them. I mean, Jesus Christ! If the law was really applied, Netanyahu and Biden would never be able to travel anywhere for the rest of their lives. They would be arrested immediately. They're criminals. They're genocidal maniacs. They're committing genocide in front of the whole world on camera, and they're claiming they're victims at the same time. Not even the fucking Nazis did this. The Nazis tried to hide what they were doing because they know that they were evil. They know what they were doing. They knew what they're doing is wrong. They knew this. The Israelis are committing genocide, and not only are they showing the whole world they're doing it in broad daylight, they're also pretending they're victims. No one in history has ever done this before. No one. No one has ever committed genocide while pretending they're a victim. In any case, this is just a bit of bullshit news I wanted to share with you about Bashar al-Assad, that they want to arrest him. For what? for defending the country against jihadists, against Al-Qaeda, against these armies the CIA sent? Go to hell. You know, just the reason they target Assad, the reason they target Syria is because Syria has always supported Hamas. Syria has always supported Palestinian Islamic Jihad. PIJ is based in Damascus, in the capital, in the Syrian capital. Syria has always supported Hezbollah, the Lebanese resistance that kicked Israel out, that beat Israel in 2006 again. Syria has always refused to acknowledge Israel. You know, Syria is occupied by Israel, so it's being attacked by Israel all the time. That's why they target Syria. That's the real reason. It's not about democracy and human rights. That's bollocks. That's rubbish. That's just PR. It's nonsense. It's blah blah. The real reason is because of Israel. It's because Syria won't acknowledge or recognize Israel. Syria won't allow American corporations to steal the oil, to steal, you know, to take over the Syrian market economy and flood it with American banks and corporations like they do with every other country. That's why. That's the only reason. It's the only reason. Anybody who says otherwise is a goddamn clown or a liar. They don't know what they're talking about. The real reason is because of Syria's support for the resistance. Period. The same thing goes for Iran. They attack Iran because Iran won't allow them to have their oil and gas free of charge, like you know, when it was couped by the CIA and MI6. And Iran supports Hamas. Iran supports Hezbollah. Iran supports all people who are oppressed and who want to kick out the people who've colonized them, their oppressors. Iran should be given a Nobel Peace Prize for that. Iran has spine. Iran has courage. Without Iran, where would Palestine be? Where would Syria be? They'd have been invaded and destroyed by the CIA long ago. And look what they already did now. You know, to Syria, they leveled it. They leveled Gaza. Look at the damage they already did. They would be completely gone were it not for Iran. You know, Iran is doing more for Arab countries than other Arab countries. You know, look at the Gulf, the Gulf monarchs. All these kings and emirs. Where the fuck were they? They were the ones attacking Syria. They were doing the bidding of the West. They have American bases. They allow the West to steal their resources, to plunder the wealth that belongs to the Arabs. Shameful, shameful. They're allowing this genocide in Gaza to happen. Iran won't allow this shit to happen. Iran will help Palestinians resist whatever it takes, whether it's Hamas or it's not Hamas. Doesn't matter. This is irrelevant. It just happens to be Hamas now that is at the helm of the armed struggle against the Palestinians. If it were the PLO, guess what? Iran will be helping the PLO. The PLO back in the day, the Israelis, they had their embassy shut down in Tehran by the Iranian government after the revolution. The Iranians kicked the Israelis out, cut all ties with Israel, and they gave the Israeli embassy, or the former Israeli embassy, to the Palestinians. So that's why they hate Iran, period. It's the only reason. Anything else is noise. And that's why you have this crap like this stupid arrest warrant. That's why. It's the only reason. Because Syria is helping the Palestinian resistance against Israel. Period. And why not? Remember, Syria is not only, you know, Syria and Palestine. We're not only the same country and the same people for millions, for millions of people all across the Levant and during thousands of years, but also because Syria itself is occupied by the same foe, the Israeli regime. They're occupying Golan Heights in Syria, they're occupying Sheba farms in South Lebanon, and they're occupying Gaza. So why shouldn't they fight together against the Israelis? It's their right. They have every right to do so, morally, legally. Give me a second. I'm trying to look up what one of you guys said. So, okay. Thank you. Megalodian says Jonathan Conricus. So Jonathan Conricus from the Shifa MRI Center Hamas proof video. Okay, so just give me a second to look him up. I know who you mean. I just want to show people on the screen. So you're talking about this guy, the one we watched earlier doing the propaganda. Yeah. So you're saying that Jonathan Conricus was also seen confirming beheaded babies the 12th of October. Is that it? Yeah, 12th of October on the Hindustan Times YouTube channel. Well, I'm not surprised. He's a seasoned bullshitter, so I'm not surprised. But thank you for that. I've seen so much propaganda from the Israelis. I'm having trouble keeping up. There's some of it in Arabic. They have spokespersons doing it in Arabic, in French, in English. They have several of them doing it in English. And I've gone through every single one of them. I've tried to cover as many of them as I can. But this is very, very good what you just told us, right? So let me try. Let me see if I can try and pull it up. Again, thank you guys so much for your donations and for supporting the channel. Thank you to Jalil for the donation. Says danke Richard für deine Programm. Danke an dir, and I appreciate that very much. Again, they took away my money, so I'm always reliant on you guys, but now more than ever. So if you're able to throw a few bucks my way, please consider doing it. I know that times are tough especially after the sanctions against Russia when the Ukraine war started. But if you're able to send a few donations, on PayPal or on Rumble or monthly on Patreon, I'd really be much obliged, because I want to keep doing this work. I have, this is my full-time job. And they're just trying to intimidate people by taking away their money, by deplatforming them, by censoring them. And we're not going to let them do that. This, people right now in Gaza, they have it worse than anybody. They to be quiet now would be worse than to be quiet during what was happening, for example, in the Ukraine war. That was nothing. That's nothing compared to what's happening in Gaza now. Nothing. And we've always said this. What people have to go through under occupation is unimaginable. It's on another level. In any case, I'll leave it at that, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share the videos. Remember, it's not about, I'm not asking you please to just send money. Sharing the videos, commenting on the videos, making sure you're subscribed on Rumble so we can try and build it up like I had built up YouTube. This is also a way of supporting my work and supporting independent media. I need your help to do this. I can't do it by myself. So please make sure you spread the word. Please make sure you send these videos that I'm doing, these educational videos where I'm telling you how to respond to Israeli propaganda. Part 1 and Part 2 analysis about the gas, about how all of this warring, all this, all of what's happening in Gaza connects to what happened in Ukraine, connects to what's happening, with Iran and Syria, with China. These are educational videos that I've spent so much time researching and putting together and making animations and a million things. So please share them if you can. Educate people. That's it, really. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm much obliged, and thanks so much for your support. Take care. Ma salama. Bye-bye. You cannot blame the Palestinians for, wanting to free their land. This is very basic, common principle of any human rights charter. It's in the United Nations Charter. It's in the Geneva Convention that if you are occupied, you can fight to liberate your country in any way you like. The UN General Assembly even underscored this and said this includes armed struggle. That means with weapons. No one wanted it to get to this situation. It's the Israelis who came and used weapons. When they did the Nakba in 1948, they wiped out entire villages. They wiped them out. This is very, very clear. This is ethnic cleansing, it's genocide. No one wanted it to get to this stage. It's the Israelis who've allowed it to get to this stage. There is nothing wrong with dismantling colonies. No one cries because the British Empire had to collapse.
We are imposing a complete siege on Gaza. There will be no electricity, no food, no water, no fuel. Everything will be closed. We are fighting against human animals, and we are acting accordingly.
Human animals. I mean, if I had given you the exact quote that he just said of what he just said, you would think this is a Nazi talking about Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto. Human animals. That's what he called everybody in the Gaza Strip. What the Israelis have done before is that they calculated how much food people in Gaza need to eat to survive, right? Like what is the bare amount of calories? The Israelis did this for the purpose of looking at how much food they can give the Gazans, as little as possible, just to make sure that they stay alive. And then they actually gave them less than that. And the only other example that I know of this in recent history is Nazi Germany. Okay, the food minister, the Nazi food minister was called Backe. That's his name. He did something called the hunger plan. You can take a guess. You can guess already what it was. When they took all these Soviet prisoners of war, which they considered to be subhuman in Nazi Germany, Bakke calculated how many calories they would need in order to starve the Soviet prisoners down to something ridiculous, like 50 or 60 calories a day. They gave the Soviets as little as possible, and guess what? A lot of them died because of hunger. Millions. And they gave the food to the Nazi soldiers, right? So this is a perfect analogy to what is happening in Gaza. So now, instead of giving them too little calories to survive, they're giving them no calories to survive, right? So it's gone from out of the frying pan into the fire. Hamas know that this is going to happen. There's always something that the Israelis do to crap on everybody. So when you are in a situation like this, you have nothing to lose. You literally have nothing to lose. So why not just go all out? Why not go all out? Again, the Israelis want you to think, oh, they're victims. Oh, Hamas are terrorists. No, man, you're starving 2 million people. You've surpassed terrorists. You become genocidal at this point. Let's call him General Genocide. Right? That's his rank. They need to plunder Niger. You got hundreds of trucks lining up at the border. They can't get in the country because of the situation that ECOWAS has created, and of course at the behest of France and the United States. These sanctions are biting hard, and they're illegal. They have no moral or legal basis whatsoever. Niger is the poorest country on earth, and they bite it and smite it with these sanctions. How can you be so evil to do such a thing like that? People have had enough. When you have been subjugated and forced into poverty like this, you have no option but to give a middle finger and say goodbye, get out of my country, go now. I'm happy that I'm alive to see this. This is real decolonization. This is it. This is the real thing. If it weren't real, they wouldn't be so upset in Paris. Now, would they? I rest my case. Let me just ask you something right now before I continue, and I want you to comment right now whether you're watching live or you're watching on replay, especially Americans. Have you ever heard of Agadez or Airbase 201? Do you know what that is? Please tell me right now in the comments. Guess what? You should have heard of it. You should know it because you paid for it. This base cost over $100 million. It's one of those massive sinkholes that you have, in the Pentagon. You guys know that the Pentagon have been audited, I think, twice, maybe 3 times. But the point here is that every single time that they've been audited, trillions of dollars are unaccounted for. The truth is that Airbase 201 in Niger is the largest American drone base, not in Niger, not in Africa, in the world. That's pretty unique. That sticks out, right? There's something special about this, especially when you paid for it. Hamas are doing exceptionally well, even though they have less resources. And they're constantly targeted, right? That is something which really shows you how sanctions have failed, how isolation has failed, how this strategy of trying to make sure that Gaza is besieged, Syria is besieged and isolated, sanctioned, cordoned off from the rest of the world. Iran is also sanctioned and isolated. Russia's isolated. It doesn't work. As a matter of fact, it's funny because they end up shooting themselves in the foot. They just shoot themselves in the foot. I take it the Israelis will insist on overstaying their non-existent welcome a tad bit more, but nevertheless, there is no question about it. What happened today makes the 2006 war with Lebanon, where Lebanon and specifically Hezbollah humiliated Israel, look like a joke. That's how bad today is, right? Like, that's how humiliating it is for Israel. The Canadian Parliament gave a standing ovation, literally a standing ovation for a Nazi. Not a neo-Nazi, no, a Ukrainian Nazi. He's like, oh, wait till they find out.
He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service. Thank you.
No, the hell you don't. These are photos of him in World War II in the SS Galicia division. So this is the 14th division of the Waffen SS. Here's Trudeau. Look at him try to wiggle his way out like some worm.
It's extremely upsetting that this happened. The speaker has acknowledged his mistake. It's going to be really important that all of us push back against Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation, and continue
Dude,
our
what disinformation? Did you not applaud a Nazi? Are you not arming Nazis in Ukraine?